Chapter 1639. Time passed day by day. Qin Feiyang walked in the mountains all day, with green mountains and clear waters as neighbors, with the sun, moon, and stars as companions, but his heart could not calm down. On this day, he walked to Li Jian's side, looked at the fishing rod in Li Jian's hand, and asked, "Is your heart calmed down? There are too many things in the world, how can I calm down?" Li Jian shook his head and sighed. "Yes. How can I calm down?" Qin Feiyang nodded, went to find a willow branch, sat next to Li Jian, and quietly fished. This was a very dry thing. After sitting for less than an hour, he could not sit still anymore. Without a line or a fish hook, how could he fish? This was a huge test. No one, in the face of such a situation, could persist. But Qin Feiyang persevered. He tried to calm himself down and let himself sit here, but perhaps because it was too deliberate, he became more and more anxious. Several days passed. He put down the willow branch and left silently, found a secluded cliff, sat cross-legged on the edge of the cliff, did not think about anything, and let himself enter an ethereal state. After 3 or 4 days, he finally got rid of all distracting thoughts. However, although he got rid of all distracting thoughts, he still could not calm his heart. He could not figure out why. He remembered that when he was refining the recovery pill, he could quickly reach a state of mind like still water. Was it really because it was too deliberate? After pondering for a while, he closed his eyes again. But this time, he did not deliberately calm himself down. He was comprehending the 3,000 incarnations. He wanted to use this method to divert his attention. 3,000 incarnations was a very powerful divine art. It could condense 3,000 incarnations. Each incarnation had the same strength as the original body. Since he obtained these 3,000 incarnations, he had not properly comprehended them. First, there was no time. Second, the divine art was too profound. With his current comprehension, it was difficult to thoroughly comprehend, so he had been putting it aside. Now, the only thing he did not lack was time. Days passed. Finally, he opened his eyes, revealing a look of realization, and said, "I see, 3,000 incarnations was different from other divine arts, divided into a total of 4 realms. Initial, small, great, and perfection." Condensing one incarnation was initial. Once he reached the small success stage, he would be able to form 1,000 clones. At the great success stage, he would be able to form 2,000 incarnations. Once it reached perfection, it would be able to condense a total of 3,000 incarnations. This divine incantation was heaven-defying. Especially towards the end, the stronger one's cultivation was, the more powerful the incarnation's cultivation would be. For example, Qin Feiyang. Once he broke through to the divine battle realm and unleashed 3,000 clones, together with his actual self, there would be 3,001 Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was a little puzzled. Where did this Zhuge Mingyang obtain such a heaven-defying technique? State Preceptor? Emperor Hong? It was impossible. It wasn't that he looked down on the two of them, but that this kind of divine art was beyond their abilities. Furthermore, how could they be willing to give such a terrifying deity technique to Zhuge Mingyang when they themselves were in a hurry to cultivate it? Undying demon attack. 3,000 clones. There were also spatial divine objects that could fight against rule force. This Zhuge Mingyang was becoming more and more unfathomable. In the past, in his eyes, Mu Tianyang was the biggest threat. But now, Mu Tianyang was no longer a big deal. Zhuge Mingyang was the most worthy opponent. In fact, he was also very depressed in his heart. Why was his life so bumpy? First, it was Mu Tianyang, which gave him a headache. Now, Mu Tianyang hadn't been dealt with yet, and there was another Zhuge Mingyang. He was wondering if the heavens were joking with him. After he dealt with Zhuge Mingyang, would there be another existence that was even more terrifying than Mu Tianyang and Zhuge Mingyang? Just thinking about it gave him a headache. Qin Feiyang shook his head and continued to comprehend the 3,000 clones. Time flew. After an unknown number of days, the Miss of the Dragon Phoenix House, who was sitting cross-legged under the tree of good fortune, slowly opened her eyes. That's not right. Although Qin Feiyang explained it very thoroughly, the profound meaning of becoming a god is far from that simple. But what exactly is it? She muttered to herself, her eyes full of confusion. Sigh. Luo Qingzhu sighed softly and also opened her eyes. Looking at the Miss of the Dragon Phoenix House, she said, I can feel that Feiyang is already very close, but there is still something missing. Yes. The Miss of the Dragon Phoenix House nodded. Then what exactly is missing? Ling Yunfei asked, also opening his eyes and looking at the two of them. I don't know. The two of them shook their heads. Ling Yunfei rubbed his head and said helplessly, what a headache. Uncle Yuan should have told us directly. The Miss of the Dragon Phoenix House said, the profound meaning of becoming a god requires us to comprehend it ourselves. At most, others can only give us directions. Ling Yunfei took a deep breath, looked around, and asked doubtfully, where's Boss Qin? I didn't see him when I woke up. Luo Qingzhu shook her head. Ling Yunfei closed his eyes and carefully sensed for a while. He said speechlessly, so he went to hide by himself. Let's go take a look. The two girls nodded and stood up one after another. Ling Yunfei waved his hand, and the three of them immediately appeared at the edge of the cliff. They saw that Qin Feiyang's eyes were slightly closed, his expression serene, as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. Ling Yunfei was about to go up and call Qin Feiyang. Don't go. The Miss of the Dragon Phoenix House suddenly reached out her hand to stop Ling Yunfei, and sent a sound transmission. With his vigilance, he should have noticed us the moment we arrived, but now he looks like he doesn't know anything. Ling Yunfei was startled, and thought to himself, you mean, he has already comprehended the profound meaning of becoming a god? I'm not sure. But it's possible. Don't disturb him. Let's take a look at the situation first. The Miss of the Dragon Phoenix House sent a sound transmission. Ling Yunfei cursed in his heart, to comprehend it so thoroughly, this bastard really makes people envious. Then, the three of them also sat not far behind Qin Feiyang. While watching Qin Feiyang's situation, they silently cultivated. A few days later in the morning, a sudden change occurred. Beside Qin Feiyang, another Qin Feiyang suddenly appeared out of thin air. Ling Yunfei and the other two were bewildered. This Qin Feiyang who suddenly appeared, regardless of height, face, fat or thin, expression, was exactly the same as Qin Feiyang. It was as if they were carved from the same mold. Luo Qingzhu said, is it his inner demons? No, no. His inner demons are blood hair and blood pupils, and his entire body is filled with a fiendish aura. And now, this Qin Feiyang who has appeared, has black hair and black pupils, and his aura is exactly the same as Qin Feiyang's. So it's definitely not the inner demons. Ling Yunfei thought. Just as the two of them were secretly conversing, another Qin Feiyang appeared beside Qin Feiyang. Three Qin Feiyang? The three of them were dumbfounded. Before they could regain their senses, a third Qin Feiyang appeared. What the hell is going on? Ling Yunfei was bewildered. Before he could finish his words, beside Qin Feiyang, a fourth Qin Feiyang appeared. Following closely. One by one, Qin Feiyang appeared. In the end, there were a total of 99 Qin Feiyang standing in front of the three of them. Including Qin Feiyang's original body, there were a total of 100. Ling Yunfei said in a daze, damn, is this guy playing a clone game with us? A clone game? Luo Qingzhu frowned, as if she had thought of something. Suddenly, the Miss of the Dragon Phoenix House thought, it's the 3,000 incarnations. That's right. It's the 3,000 incarnations. Luo Qingzhu quivered and also transmitted her voice. So it's the 3,000 incarnations. Ling Yunfei suddenly realized. Many people knew that Qin Feiyang had snatched the 3,000 incarnations from Zhuge Mingyang, including them. But because Qin Feiyang had never used it before, they had all forgotten about it. Interesting. Ling Yunfei laughed sinisterly. He suddenly jumped up and slapped an incarnation with his palm. Kid, are you looking for a beating? The 99 incarnations turned around in unison, looked at Ling Yunfei, and said in unison. Moreover, the corners of his mouth curled up as he pursed his lips into a mocking smile. Fuck. Even the tone and expression are the same? Ling Yunfei's face twitched and said angrily, That's right, this young master is looking for a beating, come and beat me up. You go. No, you go. Why don't you go? I'm not going, you go. The group of incarnations started to argue, treating Ling Yunfei as heir. Ling Yunfei's face darkened, and said angrily, Stop arguing, all of you attack together. If we attack together, you're finished. That's right. Any one of us can beat you up like a dog. Are you sure you want us to attack together? The 99 incarnations looked at Ling Yunfei seriously, and asked in unison. Ling Yunfei's veins popped out. He was so angry that he stomped his feet and roared, Can you guys not talk together? Don't stand together. I have trypophobia. Forget it, I'm at a disadvantage. I'll go. One of the incarnations shook his head, took a step forward, and hooked his finger at Ling Yunfei, saying, Brat Ling, bring it on. Seal of Nirvana. Ling Yunfei roared, and directly evolved the divine art. Scum. The incarnation disdainfully waved his hand in the air, and a golden light burst out, pouncing towards the seal of Nirvana. Boom! The seal of Nirvana spun in the air and charged towards Ling Yunfei. This is the return formula? Ling Yunfei was stunned. Yes. The incarnation nodded. Fuck, this is too unreasonable. An avatar can actually use the Huan character formula? Ling Yunfei cursed and quickly dodged the attack of the seal of Nirvana. It's not just the return formula. We know all the divine arts and methods of this sovereign. The 99 incarnations spoke again at the same time. Ling Yunfei was stunned. You don't believe me? The 99 incarnations smiled proudly, and in an instant, all of them activated the battle and kill formula. Then, they evolved various divine arts. The 4 moves of the Ruins of End. The 3 moves of the Eclipse Moon. The Fire Phoenix formula, and so on. Ling Yunfei was dumbfounded. When he came back to his senses, he hurriedly waved his hand and said, Stop showing off, I believe you, I believe you. The 99 incarnations waved their hands, and all the divine arts disappeared in an instant. They also turned off the battle and kill formula. It was also at this moment. Another incarnation appeared beside Qin Feiyang out of thin air. This time, there were a total of 100 incarnations. 100 incarnations, equivalent to 100 Qin Feiyang, this is too exaggerated. This is simply shameless. Chapter 1640. Qin Feiyang finally opened his eyes, looked at Ling Yunfei and said, We are not enemies, what are you afraid of? I feel sorry for your future enemies. Ling Yunfei rolled his eyes, glanced at the 100 incarnations, and waved his hand. My trypophobia is about to act up, quickly get them to scram. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly, waved his hand, and all the incarnations disappeared. Luo Qingzhu asked curiously, 3,000 incarnations, shouldn't there be 3,000 incarnations? Why are there only 100 now? This divine art also has levels. 100 incarnations is already my limit. Qin Feiyang said. Luo Qingzhu nodded in realization. Miss Longfeng said, In other words, during this period of time, you have not comprehended the profound meaning of becoming a god? No. I can't calm down. I originally wanted to use the method of comprehending the divine art to distract myself, but I didn't expect to be immersed in it. I completely forgot to comprehend the profound meaning of becoming a god. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. After the three of them heard this, they were speechless. Wait. Forgot. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang was stunned, and then lowered his head, his face full of surprise. When he said that he had completely forgotten to comprehend the profound meaning of becoming a god, a light suddenly flashed across his mind. However, he didn't catch it. However, he had a feeling that this sudden light had a lot to do with the profound meaning of becoming a god. What's wrong with you? Luo Qingzhu looked at him suspiciously. Don't talk. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, lowered his head, and kept repeating that sentence, but that light never appeared again. What was it? He couldn't help but start to feel irritated. Suddenly, a loud laugh sounded from afar. In the laughter, there was incomparable excitement and joy. But then, the laughter became somewhat crazy again, as if it was deranged. Is this Li Jian's laughter? What is he doing? Could it be that he sat by the river for too long and became stupid? Ling Yunfei was bewildered. Qin Feiyang also temporarily suppressed the irritation in his heart. He raised his head and looked in Li Jian's direction, his brows tightly knitted. Hearing this laughter, it didn't sound like a fool. It sounded more like he had gone berserk. Don't just stand there and watch. Let's go and see what's going on. If something really happens, we can help him in time. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said. Quick. Qin Feiyang looked at Ling Yunfei and urged. Ling Yunfei waved his hand, and the four of them immediately appeared behind Li Jian. They saw Li Jian standing by the river, laughing madly towards the sky. He couldn't have really gone mad, could he? Ling Yunfei whispered. Li Jian, what are you doing? Don't scare us. Luo Qingzhu said anxiously. Li Jian stopped laughing and turned to look at the three of them. Without saying a word, he sat by the river again, holding onto the willow branch and fishing silently. This, Ling Yunfei, Luo Qingzhu, and Miss Longfeng looked at each other. Qin Feiyang looked at Li Jian's back and muttered in his heart, could it be that you have already comprehended a deeper level of profoundness? Li Jian, can't you see that we are all concerned about you? Say something. Ling Yunfei said angrily. Don't disturb him. Qin Feiyang said. What's wrong? Ling Yunfei was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said meaningfully, whether we can become gods or not, we might have to rely on him. Rely on him? Ling Yunfei was stunned and said in surprise, what do you mean? I think he has already comprehended a deeper level of profoundness. Qin Feiyang nodded. Luo Qingzhu and Miss Longfeng's eyes lit up. Ling Yunfei was stunned when he heard this and said, this guy's comprehension is not bad. Why don't we fish with him here? Everyone has their own opinions and methods. We don't have to learn from him, but we can try. Qin Feiyang said. Then I'll give it a try. Ling Yunfei also found a willow branch and sat not far away from Li Jian, fishing quietly. Sister Rushuang, what about us? Luo Qingzhu looked at Miss Longfeng. Miss Longfeng thought for a moment and said with a smile, since we don't have any clues now, we might as well give it a try. Okay. Luo Qingzhu nodded. The two of them also did the same. They found a willow branch and sat on the riverbank, looking at the clear river water, their eyes calm. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He turned around and soared into the sky, flying towards the canyon. Damn it, it's already been half a month. How long are you going to beat him up? I'm telling you, don't go too far. Before they got close to the canyon, they heard the angry roars of the Scorpion King and the other two beasts. Half a month? So fast? Qin Feiyang was surprised. It didn't feel like that long. It was true that time did not exist in cultivation. Boss Qin, you're here. Seeing Qin Feiyang, the Golden Wolf King and Silver Wolf King immediately ran up and smiled flatteringly. Qin Feiyang asked, it's not over yet? There are so many blood-devouring bees. I estimate that it'll take at least half a month. Golden Wolf King said. Qin Feiyang nodded and walked to the front of the Crocodile King and the other two beasts. Boss, I beg you, ask them to stop. If this continues, we'll really be crippled. The four beasts quickly begged. Qin Feiyang said expressionlessly, then do you know your mistakes? Yes, yes, yes. The four beasts nodded like they were pounding garlic. Do you remember? Qin Feiyang asked again. Yes. I won't forget for the rest of my life. The four beasts said. This is considered a light punishment. If there's a next time, I'll directly cripple you. Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. Yes, yes, yes. There won't be a next time. We promise. The four beasts made a solemn vow. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed and said, you guys came in with Li Jian, but do you know? Li Jian is about to comprehend the profound meaning of becoming a god. What? The Crocodile King and the other two beasts' eyes trembled. It was actually so fast. There's a good saying, you'll only get what you pay. Do you think that you can become a god by enjoying yourself here all day long? How can there be such a good thing? Anyway, don't wait until everyone becomes a god and you guys are still playing here. At that time, it's not me who wants to give up on you guys, but you guys who gave up on yourselves. Qin Feiyang said. Boss is right, we will definitely work hard. The four beasts lowered their heads in shame. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said, don't forget this lesson, go. Where to? The four beasts were suspicious. However, Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear to him and remained motionless. He felt as if he was possessed. What's the situation? The Crocodile Emperor, the four beasts, the Golden Wolf King brothers, and the surrounding blood-devouring bees all looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Forget, Qin Feiyang muttered. Just now, when he said, don't forget this lesson, the light in his mind appeared again. And this time, he clearly caught it. This spiritual light came from the word forget. Forget, haha, so that's how it is. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's face revealed a look of realization, and he couldn't help but laugh. What and what? Boss Qin isn't crazy, is he? The beasts became more and more puzzled. Qin Feiyang grabbed Scorpion King and said excitedly, everything in the world comes from nothing, from something to nothing. No self, there is self, then to know self, and finally to forget self. What no self? There is me. Forget self? What the hell? Scorpion King was dumbfounded. Qin Feiyang said, before we were born, we didn't exist? Yes. Scorpion King nodded. This is no self. After we were born, we had life, consciousness, and life. This is called there is me. When we die, we will return to no self. In the end, we will be slowly forgotten by the world, and no one will remember us anymore, Qin Feiyang said, getting more and more excited. That's it. This is a process of life. Scorpion King nodded. It still understood this logic. A process of life, Qin Feiyang murmured and laughed, that's right, no self, forget self, this is the true essence of becoming a god. He immediately turned around and disappeared into the vast mountains like lightning. No self? Forget self? The true essence of becoming a god? Scorpion King, the four beasts, and the Golden Wolf King brothers looked at each other. Quickly catch up. Following closely. The Crocodile Emperor roared, and the beasts chased after Qin Feiyang. Although they did not understand what Qin Feiyang was talking about. But the true essence of becoming a god, as long as one was not an idiot, one could understand. Qin Feiyang must have mastered the profound meaning of becoming a god. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them. Whoosh! By the river. Qin Feiyang was like a stream of light, landing beside Li Jian, and said, what you comprehended before was, but before he could say anything, Li Jian made a shushing gesture to him and said, young master, this can only be understood, not spoken. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, your comprehension is really good. It seems that it won't be long before I have another fake god by my side. How long did I comprehend, and how long did you comprehend? In terms of comprehension, compared to you, young master, I am thousands of miles away. Li Jian sighed. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. What are you talking about? What can only be understood, but not spoken? Feiyang, did you also comprehend something? Don't keep us in suspense, tell us quickly. Ling Yunfei and the other two were at the side, looking at the mysterious Qin Feiyang and Li Jian, as if 100 claws were scratching their hearts. Boss Qin has just comprehended the true meaning of becoming a god. At this moment, the Scorpion Emperor and the other beasts rushed over. What? Ling Yunfei and the other two trembled. The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house was immediately dissatisfied, comprehending but hiding it. Feiyang, this is not how you are. Qin Feiyang smiled but did not say anything. The Golden Wolf King asked, Boss Qin, know self, forget self, what does it mean? Know self, forget self? Ling Yunfei and the other two were stunned. Yes. This is what Boss Qin said when he was in an epiphany. Know self, forget self, is the true meaning of becoming a god. The Scorpion Emperor and the other 6 beasts nodded. This is the true meaning of becoming a god? Know self? Forget self? Could it be the realm of know self and the realm of forgetting self? Ling Yunfei looked at Qin Feiyang and Li Jian in surprise. Qin Feiyang and Li Jian looked at each other and smiled. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, it's not that simple, you guys slowly comprehend it, it's useless to say it. With that, he turned and left alone. Chapter 1641. Let's talk about Willow Tree and the other 3. After half a month of non-stop travel, they had already gone deep into the desert. There were storms all around, sweeping up yellow sand all over the sky. The wind blades sliced across their bodies like sharp blades. The storms here were enough to threaten a war emperor. However, apart from the storms, they didn't encounter any other dangers. Along the way, they didn't see any traces of beasts. Li Yun said, Brother Ning, do you remember the situation when we came to the desert last time? I remember. Ning Mingyi nodded and said worriedly, although the storms here can't threaten us, even we can't withstand the deeper storms. Yes. I really don't understand, why does Brother Qin want to go to the end of the desert? Willow Tree, you are now deeply trusted by Qin Feiyang. He even gave you the castle and Cheng Shui. Do you know the reason? Li Yun turned to look at Willow Tree and asked suspiciously. I don't know. Willow Tree shook his head. You really don't know? Li Yun didn't believe it. I really don't know. Willow Tree smiled bitterly. However, although he didn't know, he could roughly guess that it should have something to do with leaving the Black Tortoise realm. Zhuge Mingyang, who was at the side, did not say a word. He seemed to be deep in thought. He was undoubtedly thinking about this problem. But suddenly, he looked at the storm in front of him on the left, and a trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. Just now, he keenly caught a black shadow in the void, but before he could see it clearly, the shadow disappeared into the storm. What is it? He muttered in his heart and didn't say anything. He secretly became vigilant. Willow Tree and the other 2 were chatting, so they didn't notice anything unusual. The 4 of them continued to go deeper. Zhuge Mingyang kept looking at the storm, but the black shadow never appeared again. It was as if it didn't exist at all. This made him wonder if it was an illusion. It wasn't until they were far away from the storm that he retracted his gaze and scanned the void in front of him. Yellow sand filled the sky. Other than the sound of the wind, there was no other sound. The air was dry and stuffy. He couldn't help but feel irritated. Suddenly, Zhuge Mingyang's eyes abruptly turned to look at a windstorm 50 to 60 miles away. The storm had a diameter of more than 10 meters, and it was howling. Just a moment ago, he had caught sight of a black shadow that had entered the storm like a bolt of lightning. Looks like it wasn't an illusion. There really is a problem. Zhuge Mingyang narrowed his eyes and locked onto the storm. Zhuge Mingyang was following behind Willow Tree's trio. In addition, Zhuge Mingyang hadn't said a word since the beginning, so the trio didn't notice the change in Zhuge Mingyang's expression. A moment later, the three of them directly flew past the storm. "Brotherly, are you okay?" Ning Mingi and Willow Tree hurried forward and asked with concern. Although the two were opponents in the past, the situation was different now. Everyone was on the same boat. If someone was in trouble, they definitely could not sit back and do nothing. "Get out of here, do you hear me?" However, in the face of Willow Tree and Ning Mingi's inquiry, Li Yun turned a deaf ear and kept roaring. The two looked at each other, hurriedly took a step forward, and turned to look at Li Yun. When they saw Li Yun's situation at the moment, the two suddenly turned pale with fright. They saw that Li Yun's facial features had already been distorted. Blood vessels burst out from under his skin. They looked like earthworms wriggling under Li Yun's skin, making one's scalp numb. Moreover, wisps of black mist constantly emerged from the two eyeballs, like ink, and instantly soaked the whites of the two eyeballs. Finally, the whites of the two eyes turned pitch black. They couldn't even find where the eyeballs were. "What's wrong with him?" Willow Tree was surprised and bewildered. Zhuge Mingyang stepped forward to see this scene, and couldn't help but feel creeped out. He secretly warned, "It's a little strange, be careful." But before his voice died away, Li Yun suddenly looked up and stared at the three of them. That distorted face covered with blood vessels was extremely ferocious. And from his mouth, there was a sound. A sinister laugh. Boom! The next moment, he raised his hands, clenched his 5 fingers into fists, and the power of the false god rolled out, blasting towards the three of them. "Retreat!" Ning Mingi shouted. The three of them retreated like lightning. Willow Tree said angrily, "Li Yun, what are you doing?" But Li Yun still turned a deaf ear to it, and used the auxiliary technique to quickly chase after the three of them. "Black shadows," Zhuge Mingyang murmured. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something and said in surprise, "Could it be that his consciousness is controlled by those black shadows?" Control? Willow Tree and Ning Mingi's eyes trembled. What could control Li Yun's consciousness? One had to know. Li Yun was a false god, and a stage 10 false god. Boom! Just as the three of them were surprised, Li Yun actually used the divine technique, and a terrifying destructive force rushed towards the three of them. Zhuge Mingyang shouted, "We can't retreat anymore, we have to stop him." "How do we stop him? Do we have to kill him?" Willow Tree asked. "It depends. I'll deal with him, you guys pay attention to the situation around. I suspect that there are still those mysterious black shadows around." Zhuge Mingyang said in a deep voice. "There are more?" Willow Tree and Ning Mingi were shocked and quickly looked around, their eyes full of vigilance. At the same time, Zhuge Mingyang rushed towards Li Yun. Roar! Facing the unknown situation, he decisively activated his battle soul to end the battle quickly. A huge bone dragon roared out from behind him. The dragon's aura shook the sky. Immediately after, an invisible aura surged out, instantly enveloping all directions. This was his special ability. Destruction. Li Yun's cultivation immediately began to plummet. As Li Yun's cultivation fell, the power of the divine technique continued to weaken. In the blink of an eye, Li Yun's cultivation fell to 7-star combat emperor. Shatter. At this moment, Zhuge Mingyang shouted angrily and punched the divine technique. With a loud bang, the divine technique collapsed on the spot. Without stopping, he rushed towards Li Yun like lightning and slammed his palm on Li Yun's chest. Crack! With the sound of bones breaking, Li Yun's chest suddenly caved in, and flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Even his heart was torn apart. His entire body was like a meteorite, smashing into the desert below. What's going on? Willow Tree and Ning Mingi, who were not far away, looked at the blood splattering in the void as if they had seen a ghost. The blood flowing out of Li Yun's body was actually black. Could it be that he had been demonized by the Black Shadow? Zhuge Mingyang also frowned. Roar. Suddenly, a beast-like roar came from the bottom of the desert, shaking the sky. The three of them hurriedly looked over and saw Li Yun rushing out of the yellow sand. There was no sign of weakness on his ferocious face. His chest was still bleeding. However, he seemed to be unable to feel any pain. He doesn't even feel anything? Zhuge Mingyang murmured. His eyes were suddenly filled with murderous intent. The grayish-white false god power surged out like a tide and turned into a giant hand that covered the sky. It floated in the sky and emitted a demonic power that could destroy the world. Divine technique. Ning Mingi's eyes trembled. He hurriedly looked at Willow Tree and said, "He wants to kill. Shouldn't we stop him?" Willow Tree looked at Li Yun and said in a low voice, "If he has really demonized, then killing him is the wisest choice." Ning Mingi fell silent. "Li Yun, if you don't wake up, don't blame me for being merciless," Zhuge Mingyang shouted. However, Li Yun did not wake up. Instead, he became even crazier. With a loud clang, the azure light sword appeared. He grabbed the azure light sword. The false god power and chi and blood surged out as he desperately tried to recover. Chapter 1642. You actually used your chi and blood to revive the artifact. It seems that you are hopeless. Heavenly Demon Hand, kill! Zhuge Mingyang roared angrily, and the giant hand suspended in the air, like a mountain, suddenly fell down. Divine power rolled in all directions. Clang! At the same time, Li Yun waved the azure light sword and slashed it. Thousands of sword lights were like a waterfall, tearing the sky. Now, he was out of the range of Zhuge Mingyang's supernatural ability. Therefore, his cultivation had been restored to the pseudo-god realm. With the peak cultivation, coupled with the power of the pseudo-god and chi and blood at the same time, the power of the azure light sword was terrifying. Boom! The heavenly demon hand and the sword light collided with a loud bang, the void collapsed, the desert sank, and the wind swept through the world. Willow Tree and Li Yun couldn't help but retreat. After the two were in a stalemate for a few breaths, the sword light gradually gained the upper hand. Courting death. Zhuge Mingyang was stunned. The bone dragon above roared and swooped down like lightning. Li Yun was once again shrouded by the supernatural ability. His cultivation rapidly plummeted. The power of the azure light sword also plummeted. How is this possible? His supernatural ability can not only suppress the divine arts, but also the artifact. Willow Tree was shocked. It is indeed terrifying. No wonder even the young master is so afraid of him. Ning Mingi nodded. Boom! The power of the azure light sword was suppressed, and the heavenly demon hand instantly turned the situation around, crushing down with irresistible force. Seeing that the situation was not good, Li Yun wanted to retreat. But it was too late. The heavenly demon hand fell, and the demonic power shook the world. The desert below caved in, forming a huge handprint. Why did you do this to me? Suddenly, Li Yun looked up at Zhuge Mingyang and said angrily. The blackness in his eyes receded like the tide. The bulging blood vessels on his face also quickly disappeared, and his facial features returned to normal. He didn't seem to be the slightest bit different. Seeing this, Zhuge Mingyang raised his eyebrows. Li Yun looked at the Willow Tree duo and shouted, Willow Tree, Brother Ning, why are you still standing there? Come and help me. Willow Tree and Yi Zichen looked at each other. Had everything returned to normal? When he came back to his senses, Willow Tree quickly shouted, "Zhuge Mingyang, stop!" Zhuge Mingyang glanced at the Willow Tree and then at Li Yun. With a wave of his hand, the heavenly devil's hand disintegrated. The bone dragon fighting soul also dissipated in the void. The Willow Tree duo flew in front of Li Yun and asked suspiciously, "Are you sure you're all right now? What problem can I have?" Li Yun rolled her eyes at them. But suddenly, she looked stunned and frowned. "Wait, there seems to be a problem." As soon as the Willow Tree duo heard this, they immediately retreated to Zhuge Mingyang's side, their faces full of vigilance. "What are you doing? Am I that scary?" "I said there's a problem, not with me, but with those shadows from before," Li Yun said helplessly. "Tell me," Willow Tree said. "After those shadows got into my sea of consciousness, they went straight to my soul, and then I lost consciousness." Li Yun frowned. "Straight to the soul?" The Willow Tree trio looked at each other and frowned. "Yes. They seem to want to swallow my soul," Li Yun said. "Isn't this equivalent to possession?" Ning Mingi said. "Could it be?" Willow Tree seemed to have thought of something. Her body suddenly trembled, and she looked at the void around her in surprise. "What is it?" The three of them looked at her suspiciously. "Undead," Willow Tree said word by word, with a trace of fear in his eyes. "Undead." As soon as Zhuge Mingyang heard these two words, a light flashed in the depths of his eyes. "Are there really undead in this desert? But it's impossible. The last time Brother Ning and I were in this desert, we stayed for half a year, but we didn't see a single undead." Li Yun said. "Yes." Ning Mingi nodded. Willow Tree said, "If it's not the undead, then how do you explain what happened before? Why don't we inform the young master and let him come out and take a look?" Ning Mingi said. "You're also an experienced person. Don't you know that you can't be disturbed when you're comprehending the profound meaning of becoming a god?" Willow Tree raised his eyebrows, his tone a little angry. Ning Mingi smiled embarrassedly. Willow Tree said, "Whether it's the undead or not, at least the crisis has been resolved now. There's no need to alarm the young master. As for the future, we'll have to be careful." Li Yun and Ning Mingi nodded. Willow Tree said, "Let's go." Li Yun flew to the three of them and continued to move forward. However, as he flew, Li Yun suddenly attacked and slapped towards Zhuge Mingyang. Her face, which had returned to normal, was instantly covered with crooked blood vessels. The whites of his eyes had turned black once again. Zhuge Mingyang was standing next to her. It was so sudden that it could be said that no one could react. However, Zhuge Mingyang reacted in time. He pursed his lips with a hint of ridicule, raised his arm like lightning, and blasted out a palm. The two big hands met with a bang, and the power of a pseudo-god erupted. Puff! Li Yun immediately spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. On the other hand, Zhuge Mingyang only took a few steps back. Although Li Yun had reached the 10th stage of the pseudo-god realm, Zhuge Mingyang's pseudo-god realm was naturally stronger than others. It was completely enough to make up for these gaps. Even suppress. This was the terrifying part of Zhuge Mingyang's pseudo-god realm power. Willow Tree and Li Yun looked back, and their eyes were filled with murderous intent. How dare he lie to them? Unforgivable anger. Kill! Ning Mingi shouted, and his divine power rolled out, and his hair fluttered in anger. The three of them rushed towards Li Yun at the same time. Seeing this, Li Yun immediately turned around and flew away. Willow Tree chased while thinking, "Zhuge Mingyang, how did you find out that he hasn't returned to normal? There are only two ways to return to normal after being controlled by those dirty things. Either expel them from the sea of consciousness or destroy them. But before this, did you see those black shadows coming out of his sea of consciousness? As for the latter, if Li Yun was the one who destroyed them, there's no way he wouldn't have mentioned it earlier. However, he didn't say anything. What does this mean? It means that he is still being controlled by those dirty things. I'm puzzled. You are antiques who have lived for tens of thousands of years. Why can't you see this? I can't figure out why Qin Feiyang likes idiots like you. Zhuge Mingyang sneered. Hearing this, the two of them were angry and ashamed. Ning Mingi stared at Li Yun's back and said angrily, "You made me be mocked. See if I don't destroy you today." Willow Tree even took out Chang Shui. Roar. At the same time, Zhuge Mingyang activated his fighting soul again. The bone dragon roared in the sky. His supernatural power reappeared. An invisible aura, like a huge wave, rushed toward Li Yun. A trace of panic appeared on Li Yun's face. When the invisible aura rushed over, Li Yun's cultivation fell directly, and his speed was also greatly reduced. Willow Tree and Ning Mingi chased after him in the blink of an eye. Both of them were murderous. Zhuge Mingyang raised the corner of his mouth and shouted, "Smash his head. Don't let those dirty things escape." Okay. The two of them nodded. Ning Mingi punched the back of Li Yun's head. Willow Tree grabbed Chang Shui and stabbed toward Li Yun's head. Yes. Smash and stab like this. Behind him, Zhuge Mingyang's face was full of smiles. Whoosh. But suddenly, a few black lights flashed from Li Yun's head. It was the few black shadows. Seeing this, Willow Tree and Ning Mingi retracted their fists and Chang Shui, and turned to attack the few black shadows. The black shadows left the sea of consciousness, and Li Yun immediately stopped in the void, looking confused. As for Zhuge Mingyang, when he saw Li Yunhe and the few black shadows, his face was filled with anger. He shouted, "Stop chasing." Willow Tree and Ning Mingi braked and turned to look at Zhuge Mingyang suspiciously. If they are really undead, then they can't escape from my hands. Zhuge Mingyang smiled coldly. He waved his hand. Whoosh! A small black flag appeared in front of him. The small flag was the size of a palm, and black fog surged all over it. There was a totem on it that looked like a giant dragon, but it had 9 heads, and it emitted a shocking murderous aura. But the most terrifying thing was the small flag itself. It was like a peerless demon king that had been sealed for a long time was born. As soon as it appeared, the sky changed color, and the clouds surged. The black fog was like a demonic aura, enveloping all directions. Willow Tree and Ning Mingi could not help but feel cold all over. Li Yun also quivered, and the confusion in her eyes dissipated. She turned to look at the small flag in front of Zhuge Mingyang, and her face was full of horror. Although they did not know what the small flag was, it gave them a fatal sense of danger. And this sense of danger came from the depths of their hearts and souls. Zhuge Mingyang looked at the small flag as if he was looking at a relative, and said with a smile, "Go." Whoosh! The small flag suddenly turned into a black light, and cut through the sky. In less than 2 blinks of an eye, it caught up with the few black shadows. Then, a scene that shocked Willow Tree and the other two appeared. The black fog emitted by the small flag rushed toward the few black shadows. And when the few black shadows were shrouded by the black fog, they immediately screamed in horror. That scream was like a ghost, sharp and ear-piercing. They struggled desperately to get rid of the black fog, but the black fog was like gangrene attached to the bone. Once it stuck to them, they could not get rid of it. Gradually, the few black shadows dissipated, merged into the black fog, and became a part of the black fog. "It's really the undead," Zhuge Mingyang murmured. Whoosh! Then, the small flag turned in the air, flew in front of Zhuge Mingyang, and disappeared directly between Zhuge Mingyang's eyebrows. The 3 swallowed their saliva. Li Yun looked at Willow Tree and Zhuge Mingyang, and asked, "What happened just now? Why don't I remember anything?" "You don't remember anything?" Willow Tree was surprised. "Yes. After those black shadows entered my sea of consciousness, I lost consciousness immediately." After Li Yun finished speaking, she felt a pain in her chest. Looking down, she was furious and roared, "Who did this?" "Me," Zhuge Mingyang said. "You?" Li Yun was stunned and said angrily, "Why did you do this? Do I have a grudge against you?" Calm down, calm down." Willow Tree and Ning Mingi quickly flew over and explained the situation in detail. There's actually such a thing? Chapter 1643. It's the undead. Zhuge Mingyang said. What? Undead? Li Yun's expression changed. Willow Tree asked, "How can you be so sure?" "Because of the Sky Devil flag. The Sky Devil flag devours the undead as food. Previously, those black shadows were all devoured by the Sky Devil flag, which proves that they are the undead," Zhuge Mingyang said. Sky Devil flag? Feeds on the undead? The three of them looked at each other. Why did it sound so creepy? Ning Mingi said, "You mean that the small flag you took out just now can devour the undead?" "Yes." Zhuge Mingyang nodded. Ning Mingi said again, "Does that mean that the more undead it devours, the stronger the power of the Sky Devil flag will be? Does this have anything to do with you? Ask this and that." Zhuge Mingyang raised his eyebrows, looking extremely impatient. The three of them felt a chill in their hearts. Although Zhuge Mingyang did not admit it, he did not deny it either. It seemed that they had to be more vigilant when they were with this person in the future. Wait. Suddenly, Willow Tree raised his eyebrows and looked up at Zhuge Mingyang, with a trace of anger in his eyes. "What are you doing?" Zhuge Mingyang frowned. "Since the Sky Devil flag can devour the undead, why don't you use the Sky Devil flag to suppress those undead? Instead, you want us to kill Li Yun?" Willow Tree said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Ning Mingi also came to his senses and looked at Zhuge Mingyang unkindly. Li Yun, on the other hand, had a suspicious look on her face. Willow Tree shouted, "Say it." "Okay, I'll say it." Zhuge Mingyang raised the corner of his mouth and said lightly, "I'm doing this because I want to borrow your hands to get rid of Li Yun." "Sure enough. Why did you do that? We are now grasshoppers tied to the same rope. Shouldn't we work together?" Willow Tree said angrily. "Why?" The Vanga League has submitted to Qin Feiyang. Although Fengtian Palace didn't submit, it's not that far from it. His forces are growing stronger and stronger. If I have the chance to make him lose his soldiers, why wouldn't I do it? Zhuge Mingyang laughed. Ning Mingi said angrily, "You really are a despicable person. I have never denied this, but you have to admit that a villain is better than a hypocrite." Zhuge Mingyang said. "Humph." Willow Tree snorted and said, "You haven't gotten to the point yet." Zhuge Mingyang's pupils shrank as he asked in confusion, "What's the main point?" If Ning Mingi and I had really killed Li Yun before, the others in Fengtian Palace would definitely regard us as mortal enemies. In that case, not only would our cooperation with Fengtian Palace be terminated, but we would also suffer from their crazy revenge. You're simply provoking the flames of war between us. You deserve death. Willow Tree shouted. Haha, Zhuge Mingyang laughed and said, "It seems that you are not an idiot after all. No wonder Qin Feiyang thinks so highly of you. Cut the crap. Since you are so heartless, don't blame us for being unrighteous. From now on, don't follow us anymore." Willow Tree said. "Yes. Let's go our separate ways. People like you are a disaster if we keep you around." Ning Mingi and Li Yun also said, their eyes full of disgust. "Are you sure?" Zhuge Mingyang smiled playfully. "Yes." The three of them nodded. "Then tell me, what will you do in the face of the undead? I can tell you responsibly that without my help, you will never reach the end of the desert." Zhuge Mingyang sneered. "You don't need to worry about that. You have the Sky Demon flag, and we also have Chang Shui. Your Sky Demon flag may not be as powerful as Chang Shui. If you don't believe me, you can try. Willow Tree grabbed Chang Shui and pointed at Zhuge Mingyang, his eyes flashing coldly. Zhuge Mingyang glanced at Pale Snow and shrugged. He said helplessly, "All right, it's my fault this time. I apologize to you all. I promise that I will work together with you all in the future to overcome the difficulties." This, Willow Tree looked at Ning Mingi and Li Yun, unable to make up his mind for a moment. "Forget it. Just let him stay here." Li Yun sighed. "In fact, it's useless even if we drive him away now. Because he has a spatial divine object. He's been following us, and we can't do anything to him. Besides, he's right. His sky demon flag can devour the undead, which is of great help to us. In fact, it's a relatively good thing to keep him by our side. Because at least we can see him, and if he wants to play any tricks, we can be on guard. But if he hides in a spatial divine object, it's really impossible to guard against him." Ning Mingi transmitted his voice. Willow Tree thought for a moment and felt that it made sense. He looked at Zhuge Mingyang and said, "Okay, I take back what I said before, but you have to swear that you won't plot against us again." "Okay. I swear, if I plot against you again, I'll be destroyed by heaven and earth," Zhuge Mingyang said. He was very calm. "I hope you can keep your oath." Willow Tree took a deep look at him, put away Chang Shui, and said, "You go ahead." "I go ahead? What if you guys plot against me behind my back?" Zhuge Mingyang raised his eyebrows and said. Willow Tree said, "We're not villains like you." Zhuge Mingyang shook his head helplessly, turned into a stream of light, brushed past the three of them, and then rushed into the depths of the desert without looking back. Willow Tree and the other two looked at each other and followed closely. Next, Zhuge Mingyang really became well-behaved. He never did anything to hurt anyone again. And he also worked very hard to stop the storm and suppress the undead. But as the saying goes, once bitten, twice shy. No matter how Zhuge Mingyang behaved, Willow Tree and the other two did not dare to let down their guard. In the blink of an eye, another half a month passed. Everyone had been in the desert for a whole month. In this half a month, the three of them had been attacked by the undead repeatedly. The number of undead was as many as 50 to 60. But without exception, these undead were all swallowed by the sky demon flag. Strange. Li Yun and Ning Mingi had been pondering about a problem along the way. In the past, they had joined hands to enter the desert, and after half a year, they had not encountered a single undead. But now, they had only been in the desert for a month, and they had already been ambushed by the undead. This was too strange. One day, Ning Mingi suddenly thought of something and said, "Could it be that the Guardian is behind this again?" His words woke them up. Willow Tree, Li Yun, and Zhuge Mingyang were suddenly enlightened. This matter definitely had something to do with the Guardian. Because only it could control the undead in the desert. In other words, this journey would no longer be peaceful. However, compared to the worries of Willow Tree and the other two, Zhuge Mingyang's performance was a little excited. Traveling in the desert was a very boring and tedious thing. Even if one stayed for a long time, they would unknowingly forget the time. Day by day, month by month. On this day, Zhuge Mingyang suddenly stopped. "What's wrong?" Willow Tree and the other two behind him also immediately stopped and looked at him warily. Although it had been a long time since the last incident, they had never let down their guard against Zhuge Mingyang. Zhuge Mingyang was silent. He took off his shirt and looked down at his chest, frowning. Seeing this, Willow Tree and the other two were curious and ran to Zhuge Mingyang to take a look. Their faces suddenly changed. They saw that there was a skull pattern on Zhuge Mingyang's chest. This skull was black and as big as a baby's fist. It looked very ferocious. Zhuge Mingyang looked up at the three and asked, "Is this the devil imprint?" "Yes." The three nodded. "Interesting." Zhuge Mingyang touched the devil imprint and muttered to himself. Willow Tree said, "Shouldn't you be nervous? But why don't you look nervous at all? What's the use of being nervous?" Zhuge Mingyang grinned and quickly put on his shirt, saying, "Continue." The three looked at each other. This fellow was a little too calm, wasn't he? Wait. Young Master and Zhuge Mingyang entered the Black Tortoise world on the same day. Zhuge Mingyang's devil imprint has appeared, then wouldn't the young Master's devil imprint have also appeared? Willow Tree suddenly said, his face full of worry. "Don't worry about the young Master. He made us go deep into the desert, so he must have been mentally prepared. It's just that time passed so quickly. Unknowingly, the young Master has been in the Black Tortoise world for half a year." Ning Mingi shook his head. "Yes, carefully counting, we have been in the desert for 5 months. Li Yun nodded and sighed. At the same time, in the castle. Hearing the conversation between Willow Tree and the others, Fatso and the others also looked at their chests. Sure enough, on their chests, there was a skull pattern. For a moment, everyone's face was extremely gloomy. The atmosphere in the castle was also particularly solemn. However, after a while, Lu Zheng smiled and said, "Even little cousin is not worried. What are we worried about? Let's continue to cultivate." Little cousin might have already comprehended the profound meaning of becoming a god. We can't be too far behind him. When Fatso and the others heard this, they smiled in relief and continued to cultivate in seclusion. They had been in the Black Tortoise world for half a year. They had also cultivated for half a year. But according to the time in the castle, they had already stayed in the castle for 1,800 days. This was equivalent to 5 years. It could be said that their cultivation time was several times that of Qin Feiyang. At the same time, in Ling Yunfei's castle, the time in the castle was the same as outside. By the river, Ling Yunfei, Luo Qingzhu, the Miss of the Dragon Phoenix House, and the Scorpion King were all looking at their respective devil imprints. I hope Boss Qin is really confident in getting rid of this devil imprint. Otherwise, we will have nowhere to cry. The Crocodile Emperor smiled bitterly. Luo Qingzhu looked up at it and comforted, "Don't worry, Qin Feiyang usually doesn't do things that he is not confident in." "I do believe that," said the Emperor. The Crocodile Emperor nodded. The Scorpion King and the other beasts also nodded. Not far away, on a mountain peak, Qin Feiyang stood with his hands behind his back, facing the wind. He had already sensed and confirmed the devil imprint on his chest. Frankly speaking. Chapter 1644. After all. Now, not only him, but all the people around him and all the beasts had been entangled by the devil mark. Especially the blood-devouring bees, there were countless of them. Although the pseudo-god level beasts in the Black Tortoise realm could remove the devil mark, there were not so many of them. So the only way now was to get the treasure at the end of the desert and control the Black Tortoise realm. But according to the mysterious man, it was not an easy task to get that treasure. Thinking of this, he shook his head violently. How could he be discouraged? Everyone trusted him so much, how could he let them down? Even if he died, even if he was smashed to pieces, he had to get it and give everyone back their freedom. Qin Feiyang clenched his hands tightly, an ray of determination appeared in his eyes. But soon, he weakly let go of his hands with a discouraged look. Not because of the devil mark, but because of becoming a god. He had been in this castle for several months, but his heart could not calm down. There was one thing that made him even more depressed. When he was doing other things, he could calm his heart down. Only when comprehending the profound meaning of becoming a god, he could not do it. He had thought more than once, was it really because of the existence of the inner demons? Could he do it if the inner demons disappeared? Alas! The road to becoming a god is difficult. Qin Feiyang sighed and was about to turn and leave. Swish! Suddenly, the inner demons appeared in front of him. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, looked at the inner demon suspiciously, and asked, "Why did you run out?" "Seeing you like this, I am anxious." The inner demons pursed his lips. "What's the use of being anxious? Unless you disappear," Qin Feiyang said. "That won't do. Even if I want to disappear, I can't do it now, because your obsession is still there." The inner demons grinned. "Obsession," Qin Feiyang murmured. "Your obsession is your parents. You should know this better than I do. If you don't solve these things, I think it will be really difficult for you to become a god." The inner demon said. "Even if I want to solve it now, I can't do it," Qin Feiyang said helplessly. "Yes. So we have to find another way to become a god," the inner demon said. "Find another way?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Actually, I haven't been idle in my inner world all these years. I've been comprehending the return, battle, and kill formula," the inner demon said. Qin Feiyang was quite surprised and asked, "Then, did you get anything?" Although he had already grasped the return, battle, kill, and attainment formula, he did not understand the profound meaning of the 6-word formula. He did not understand, he was imitated. It only had the form, but not the spirit. "I do have some insights. I feel that every word of this 6 words godly formula hides a great mystery. Even these 6 words can open up a path to becoming a god," the inner demon said. "You can find a way to become a god?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "Yes. I focused on studying the kill formula," the inner demon said. "Why did you focus on the kill formula?" Qin Feiyang was puzzled. The inner demons laughed. "Because I am more bloodthirsty. I have a special liking for the kill formula." Qin Feiyang was speechless. "Did you find anything?" The inner demon said, "According to my research, if you use the kill formula to the limit, you can also become a god." "What limit? Don't tell me it's killing living beings." Qin Feiyang frowned. "Heaven and earth are heartless. They treat all living beings as dogs. Why can't we?" the inner demons asked. Qin Feiyang said, "Even if the kill formula can make us a god, killing living beings is the worst solution." "Then tell me, what is the best solution?" "You and I, if we want to achieve great things, someone has to be sacrificed. Don't be too merciful. In this world, even if you are merciful to others, others might not be merciful to you. Look at Zhuge Mingyang. In order to become a god, how many living beings did he kill? Does he still have a clear conscience? If he can do it, why can't you?" To be honest, I was inspired by Zhuge Mingyang. That's why I had this idea. The inner demons coldly snorted. "I am different from him. Because I still have a bit of conscience. If you want me to kill living beings for no reason, I really can't do it." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "If you want to be a good person, you can stay in the inner world. Anyway, I am the inner demons. In the eyes of the world, there is no evil that I won't do. Let me help you become a god," the inner demon said. "Calm down. As you said, the 6-word formula can open a path to godhood. Then why must we choose the kill formula? We can also choose the fight formula," Qin Feiyang said. The inner demons rubbed its forehead, helplessly looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "You're always so fussy." "All right, take your time, I'll continue to comprehend the kill formula," Qin Feiyang nodded. The inner demons instantly disappeared without a trace. Qin Feiyang sighed, then turned around and flew through the air, landing next to Ling Yunfei's group. He sent his voice to them, "The demon mark has appeared, you already know that, right?" The 3 people and 6 beasts nodded. Qin Feiyang silently consoled them, "Don't worry too much, I'll do my best to return your freedom. Do we look like we're worried?" "We're not worried at all, because we trust you." Ling Yunfei smiled. "Thank you," Qin Feiyang said gratefully, then looked at Li Jian. For the past few months, Li Jian had been looking at the river without moving at all, like a stone statue, not saying a word. No one knew what kind of state he was in now. Qin Feiyang sent his voice transmission because he was afraid of disturbing Li Jian. Whoosh! He took a deep breath, crossed his legs on the ground, and entered a meditative state. Another day passed. All of a sudden. 3 days later in the morning. Li Jian got up and scanned the surroundings, his eyes full of confusion. Ling Yunfei's group, Scorpion King, and the 6 beasts opened their eyes almost at the same time, looking at Li Jian with suspicious faces. Qin Feiyang also opened his eyes. When he saw Li Jian's confused eyes, a glint flashed across his eyes. Li Jian retracted his gaze, looked at Qin Feiyang and the rest, and asked suspiciously, "What are you doing here?" "What do you mean?" Ling Yunfei's group, Scorpion King, and the 6 beasts were stunned. Sure enough. Qin Feiyang muttered, waving his hand to Ling Yunfei's group and the 6 beasts, signaling them to keep quiet. Then he got up, looked at Li Jian, and said with a smile, "Don't you know what we are doing?" "I know." Li Jian was stunned, lowered his head and pondered for a moment, looking at Qin Feiyang. The confusion in his eyes thickened, and asked suspiciously, "What do I know? What's the situation?" Ling Yunfei's group and the 6 beasts looked at each other. Did this guy get amnesia after sitting here for too long? Why are you looking at me like that? Is there something on me? Li Jian looked at the 3 of them and the 6 beasts in confusion. The 3 of them and the 6 beasts did not say a word, and looked at Qin Feiyang, their eyes full of doubts. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and said with a smile, "Then do you know what you are doing here?" "What am I doing here?" "I also want to ask you, why am I here?" Li Jian glanced around and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. Ling Yunfei scratched his head and said angrily, "What the hell is going on? Why is it connected?" "Shut up!" Qin Feiyang shouted. Ling Yunfei was stunned, and said with a frown, "What is it?" "He obviously has amnesia, I have to tell him." "This is not amnesia." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "It's not amnesia." This time, Ling Yunfei's group and the 6 beasts were even more puzzled. He didn't even remember what he was doing, how could it not be called amnesia? Qin Feiyang thought to himself, "From now on, you are not allowed to mention the word God in front of him." "Why?" Everyone was puzzled. No means no. You guys can figure out the meaning yourself. Actually, you guys are very lucky, because you are about to witness the birth of a fake god with your own eyes. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Soon. The 3 men and the 6 beasts' eyes trembled. Listening to this, could it be that Li Jian was about to become a god? Wait a minute. Li Jian forgot what he was doing here, but he didn't forget them. In other words, Li Jian only forgot about becoming a god. No self, forget self, combined with Li Jian's current situation, could it be? Forgetting that becoming a god is the true meaning. The 3 men and the 6 beasts hurriedly looked at Qin Feiyang. "Don't say anything, I don't know what you guys have comprehended. You just have to do what you want to do in your heart." Qin Feiyang thought to himself. Understood. Ling Yunfei's group and the 6 beasts nodded and then dispersed. Because they had already comprehended something. And this kind of thing, everyone's method was the same, so there was no need to stay together. After watching the 3 men and the 6 beasts leave, Li Jian turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Young master, what is going on? What am I doing here? Can you tell me?" Qin Feiyang smiled, "The answer is in your heart, you have to find it yourself." "In my heart?" The more Li Jian listened, the more puzzled he became. Qin Feiyang said, "Go find the answer in your heart." "Where to?" Li Jian was puzzled. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "You can go wherever you want. There's no need for any restrictions." "Okay." Li Jian nodded, with a confused look, walked towards the jungle behind. "What am I doing? Why do I feel like I have forgotten something?" "The answer is in your heart?" "Young master, why do your words sound so strange? As he walked, he muttered, and soon disappeared into the jungle. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered for a while, then rushed to the sky above the canyon like lightning. He also warned the blood-devouring bees there, and then went to find Li Jian. After he had found Li Jian, he had been silently following behind Li Jian all this time. Day after day passed. Li Jian was like a headless fly, wandering around aimlessly, almost stepping on the whole land. Midway, he also went to ask the blood-devouring bees. But the blood-devouring bees ignored him. Then one day, he stood on the top of a mountain, looking at the sky in confusion. What have I forgotten? Who can tell me? He roared unwillingly, and his voice spread in all directions, lingering in the air. But no one answered him. Qin Feiyang, who was standing behind a big tree at the back, also remained silent. Chapter 1645. After an unknown period of time, Li Jian left the mountain peak and returned to the river. He stood by the river, staring at the slowly flowing river, as if he was petrified, not moving at all. Qin Feiyang was like a spectator, neither showing his face nor making a sound. Day after day passed. Li Jian slowly calmed down, no longer like a headless fly. The confusion in his eyes gradually dissipated, becoming incomparably clear. Suddenly one day, Qin Feiyang noticed that Li Jian's aura seemed to be unknowingly changing. The murderous aura and hostility of the past slowly disappeared, and there was a sense of detachment and transcendence. In the end, Li Jian was clearly standing in front of him, but Qin Feiyang felt that he was a little blurry. He felt that, in Li Jian's current state, he should have turned himself into a blank piece of paper, forgetting everything. Another period of time passed. Qin Feiyang discovered that Li Jian's aura was also slowly transforming. In other words, the emperor's aura was changing in the direction of divine aura. However, Li Jian himself seemed to be unaware of all this, still looking at the river. But whether it was his expression or his eyes, they became calm, and the ethereal aura emitted from his body became stronger and stronger. It felt as if he himself was not involved. As days passed, the divine aura on his body became more and more obvious. Qin Feiyang was also quite excited. Firstly, Li Jian's success had already proved that the truth he had comprehended was correct. Secondly, to be able to witness the whole process of Li Jian becoming a god with his own eyes was also a kind of opportunity for him. A few days later, Li Jian's aura had transformed to a critical point. In other words, just a little bit more and it would completely become divine aura. But regarding all this, he still looked as if he didn't know anything. However, Ling Yunfei and the others were alarmed by this divine aura and rushed over. Over the years, I've seen a lot of false gods, but this is the first time I've seen someone become a god with my own eyes. Ling Yunfei said excitedly. Yeah. I also didn't expect that Li Jian would be the first to step into the false god realm. Luo Qingzhu sighed. You can't judge a book by its cover. Or perhaps, comprehending godhood has little to do with one's talent. It should be related to life experiences. After all, Li Jian is much older than us. To use a common saying, he has crossed more bridges than we have roads. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix House smiled. Woo woo. All of a sudden, a strong wind blew around Li Jian. His clothes and long hair rustled. A powerful divine aura erupted like a volcano, enveloping the entire area. Qin Feiyang and the other three, as well as the Scorpion King and the other 6 beasts, all held their breaths, fearing that they would disturb Li Jian. However, suddenly, the wind stopped, and the divine might dissipated. Li Jian finally reacted. He retracted his gaze and looked at himself. He murmured, I finally remember that I'm comprehending the profound meaning of becoming a god. But why is it like this? Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. Was this a success or a failure? Why, didn't I already comprehend the true essence of becoming a god? Why did I still fail? What is the true meaning of becoming a god? Suddenly, Li Jian raised his head and roared, his face full of unwillingness. Failed. The eyes of Qin Feiyang and the others trembled. He actually failed. Ling Yunfei frowned. Boss Qin, according to Li Jian's situation, the true meaning that you guys have comprehended doesn't seem to be the true meaning? No. Forget, it must be the true meaning. Otherwise, his aura wouldn't have transformed. Qin Feiyang said. Ling Yunfei said, then why did he fail? Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said, I think, there should be something missing. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house asked, you mean, other than forgetting, there is something else? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded, lowered his head and muttered to himself. What was missing? Ling Yunfei and the others went forward to comfort Li Jian. Although they didn't succeed, at least it proved that they were on the right path. After a long time, Li Jian finally calmed down. Then, everyone looked at Qin Feiyang, hoping that Qin Feiyang could answer the questions in their hearts. But they had never thought that Qin Feiyang himself had yet to become a god. Just like now. Qin Feiyang was also confused, his mind in a mess. Only by not forgetting your original intention and not forgetting your heart can you prove your Tao, turn yourself into a blank piece of paper, forget to become a god, forget everything, a newborn baby. Qin Feiyang pondered over it, but the more he thought about it, the more confused he became. After a while, Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at Ling Yunfei and the others, saying, let me calm down alone. All right. The four of them and the six beasts nodded and turned to leave. After leaving Qin Feiyang, Li Jian looked at everyone and said, we shouldn't rely on the young master, we should think about it ourselves. Everyone nodded. The first step is to forget all your troubles and calm yourself down, Qin Feiyang murmured. He didn't believe that with his temperament, he couldn't even do this most basic thing. Next, he lived an ordinary life every day. He didn't use his cultivation, no matter where he went, he walked step by step. He didn't think about anything else. In short, he was just like an ordinary person. Day after day. After an unknown amount of time, he slowly got used to this kind of life. After getting used to this kind of life, he felt that his mentality gradually changed. There was less anxiety and desire, and more innocence and tranquility. Finally, one day, under his unremitting efforts, his heart calmed down. He put everything aside. He still lived like an ordinary person. Suddenly one day, he had an epiphany. The other half of the opportunity to become a god was hidden in the lives of ordinary people. But what was it? How should ordinary people live? He pondered over it one by one. He had lived in Iron Ox Town for several years, so he had some understanding of the lives of ordinary people. He excluded everything. In the end, the goal pointed to a common point. Home. That's right, home. Whether it was humans or beasts, they all had parents. With parents, there was a home. Even if some people's home was incomplete, it was still a home. Even if he was an orphan, he used to have a home. Home was the foundation of all living things in the world. Of course. Apart from family, there were other similarities as well. The most typical was survival. Every living thing needed to survive, whether it was a mortal or a cultivator. But the way to survive had to go through scheming. The so-called desire came from survival. So this common point of survival and not forgetting one's original intention were completely inconsistent. Therefore, the other half of the opportunity to become a god was home. Home represented the root, home, hope, warmth, and innocence. Thinking of this point, Qin Feiyang found a place and built a home that belonged to him. He didn't use any means. Like battle aura, like divine weapons. Every brick, every tile, every blade of grass and every tree had been painstakingly built by his own hands. It took him 2 months to build a small courtyard of dozens of meters. He was covered in sweat all day. But he didn't feel tired at all. In the end, he stood outside the courtyard and looked at everything simple and plain. He was full of smiles. He was very gratified and satisfied. This was his home. Although he didn't have a family, when he walked into the courtyard, he had an inexplicable sense of belonging. A sense of belonging was the true meaning of a home. Next, he lived in the courtyard and completely lived the life of an ordinary person. He had even traveled thousands of miles to find some wild vegetables and create a vegetable garden. In short, every day, he worked at sunrise and rested at sunset. He had 3 meals a day. Although it was hard and boring, he enjoyed this kind of life. And after having a home, he found that it was easier for his heart to calm down. This was a sense of belonging. With a sense of belonging in his heart could also calm down. Gradually, he forgot all his troubles, as if he had returned to his childhood. He was carefree and had no desires. He entered a state of returning to simplicity. Not long after, he even forgot about becoming a god. But he wasn't like Li Jian, wandering around like a headless fly. He was the same as usual, eating when he should eat, resting when he should rest, and doing what he should do. In this carefree state, finally one day, his aura began to transform. Ling Yunfei noticed this immediately and immediately brought Li Jian and the others, as well as the crocodile emperor and the other beasts, to check it out. When they saw the courtyard, they couldn't help but be stunned. During this period of time, because they didn't want to disturb Qin Feiyang, they didn't go to Qin Feiyang. This was the first time they saw this courtyard. However, they didn't go close to the courtyard and watched from afar. When they saw Qin Feiyang in the courtyard, a trace of surprise crept onto their faces. The crocodile emperor said, "Didn't you say that Boss Qin's obsession is too deep and can't become a god?" Ling Yunfei said, "Maybe, he has really forgotten, but this is too unbelievable. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to let go of this for the rest of my life." Luo Qingzhu and the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house were also in disbelief. Because they were very clear about Qin Feiyang's experience. Scorpion Emperor said, "Look, what is he doing?" They saw Qin Feiyang squatting alone in the vegetable garden, burying his head, plowing the soil and weeding the grass. Ling Yunfei's face twitched and said, "It seems like he's planting vegetables." "You can become a god by planting vegetables? What kind of joke is this?" The crocodile emperor said. Li Jian said, "You don't understand, forget everything and return to the basics. This is a way of life. Everyone's method is the same, and this is the young master's method." Day after day passed. As Qin Feiyang's aura continued to transform, strands of divine might spread out from his body. Ling Yunfei's gaze trembled, and said, "This is really a sign of becoming a god. Will he succeed? I don't know. However, he seems to have forgotten one thing." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said. "What is it?" Everyone looked at him suspiciously. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said, "He hasn't opened the door to the potential of the War King. As long as I can become a god, this is a small matter." Ling Yunfei said casually. Everyone nodded. After becoming a god and reaching a certain level, one could continue to open the door to potential. Therefore, in comparison, becoming a god was more important now. Another few days passed. Qin Feiyang's divine might finally reached a critical point, and a gust of wind swept in all directions. Ling Yunfei and the others couldn't help but feel nervous. Because they were afraid that Qin Feiyang would fail at the critical moment like Li Jian. Chapter 1646. At the same time, Qin Feiyang stood up and patted the dirt off his hands. He then put his hands behind his back and looked at the clear sky. Slowly, his mind went blank. Everything, including the courtyard and the vegetable garden, disappeared from his memory. This was the real ethereal realm. The aura emitted from his body became more and more terrifying. The surrounding mountains and void were trembling. "Kill him for me." But suddenly, in the depths of Qin Feiyang's heart, a voice filled with murderous intent suddenly rang out. As soon as the voice appeared, a scene suddenly appeared in Qin Feiyang's blank mind. In the scene, a 10-year-old boy was lying on the ground in despair, his small body trembling. The boy looked at the sky, his eyes filled with disbelief. High up in the sky, a middle-aged man with his hands behind his back, wearing a dragon robe and a golden crown on his head, exuding the aura of an emperor. The middle-aged man looked down at the young master with indifferent eyes. "Father, what did I do wrong? Why did you suddenly kill the child?" The young master roared helplessly. But the middle-aged man turned a deaf ear. Next to the boy, there was a woman wearing a phoenix robe. She was also begging the middle-aged man to let the boy live. The middle-aged man still looked indifferent. He looked at the guards beside him and shouted, "Give him the spiritual disaster pill and expel him from the capital." "Why, Imperial Father, why is this? Why are you doing this to me?" the boy roared hysterically. "Why?" At the same time, Qin Feiyang, who was standing in the vegetable garden, suddenly roared. A monstrous aura rushed out of his body. This sudden scene shocked Ling Yunfei and the others in the distance. "What is Boss Qin doing?" Emperor Crocodile was surprised. "Not good," Ling Yunfei said. Before his voice died away, Qin Feiyang's aura quickly dissipated. The wind also stopped abruptly. Everything gradually returned to calm. As expected, his obsession is too deep. Although he has slowly forgotten everything during this period, that memory is still there. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion sighed. In the courtyard, Qin Feiyang's hair fluttered in anger. His eyes were bloodshot. He still hadn't recovered and was still immersed in that painful memory. At this moment, the endless anger and viciousness in his heart were madly attacking his reason. "I refuse to accept this. I can't accept this. I want to kill everyone who betrayed me," he roared and bellowed. Just as he was about to lose his mind, a white-haired old man suddenly appeared in his mind. The old man's face was kind, his eyes were kind, and there was a smile on his face. "Uncle Yuan." Qin Feiyang's body suddenly trembled. He quivered and came back to his senses. "Feiyang, wake up." At the same time, an anxious voice sounded in his ears. Qin Feiyang turned around and saw Ling Yunfei and the other three, as well as the Crocodile Emperor and the other 6 beasts. His eyes were filled with worry. He suppressed his negative emotions and let out a long sigh. It seemed that he was still unable to cross the hurdle in his heart. If that past did not appear, he should have stepped into the false god realm by now. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "I'm fine." Hearing this, Ling Yunfei and the others were stunned. When they saw the smile on Qin Feiyang's face, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. Ling Yunfei rolled his eyes and said, "We thought you had already gone mad." "Almost," Qin Feiyang said. Luo Qingzhu asked, "Is it because of that past when you were 10 years old?" "Yes. Although it's just a memory, I feel like I've experienced it again. That despair and pain are too real." Qin Feiyang nodded. Ling Yunfei patted him on the shoulder and asked, "Then what are you going to do now?" "I don't know." Qin Feiyang shook his head, pondered for a moment, and said, "Maybe the inner demons are right." "What did the inner demons say?" Everyone was suspicious. "Prove one's Tao by killing." Qin Feiyang said word by word. "Heard it." Everyone's eyelids twitched. But they did not know how to persuade him. Qin Feiyang looked at Ling Yunfei and said, "I've completely comprehended the profound meaning of becoming a true god. There's no need to stay here any longer. Send me out." "Okay." Ling Yunfei nodded. Li Jian hurriedly asked, "Young master, what is the true meaning of becoming a true god?" "Far away on the horizon, close at hand." Qin Feiyang said with a smile and asked Ling Yunfei to send him to the castle. Far away on the horizon? Close at hand? After Qin Feiyang left, Ling Yunfei and the other 3 as well as the Scorpion King and the other 6 beasts, looked around, their eyes full of confusion. Other than the courtyard and the mountain, there was nothing else. Suddenly, Li Jian seemed to have thought of something and his eyes trembled slightly. He quickly scanned everything in the courtyard, and a trace of understanding appeared in his eyes. So that's how it is, he murmured and ignored Ling Yunfei and the others. He turned and left alone. In the castle, seeing Qin Feiyang appear, the white-eyed wolf said suspiciously, "Little Qin Zi, why hasn't your cultivation changed at all?" "Although my cultivation hasn't changed, I've gained a lot." Qin Feiyang smiled and asked, "How long has it been?" Lu Hong said, "It's been half a year since the devil mark appeared." "What? Half a year?" Qin Feiyang stared blankly and asked, "For the past half a year, did you count the time outside or inside the castle?" "Outside, of course," Lu Hong said with a smile. "Isn't this too fast?" "If that's the case, Willow Tree and the others have been in the desert for almost a year, right?" Qin Feiyang said. "Yes." Lu Hong nodded. Qin Feiyang glanced at everyone and said with a smile, "Then your cultivation should have improved a lot." "Of course." Lu Jing smiled and released his aura. He was a 9-star combat emperor, and he was about to break through to the peak. The white-eyed wolf had also reached the 9-star combat emperor level. In short, the weakest cultivation now was a 7-star combat emperor. "Okay, let's work harder. I've completely comprehended the profound meaning of becoming a god. When you break through to the peak, you can directly break through to the false god realm." Qin Feiyang said with a smile. "Comprehended? Since you've comprehended it, why haven't you become a god?" Everyone was suspicious. "Just one step away." Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. "One step away?" Everyone looked at each other and immediately understood. It must be because of Qin Feiyang's inner demons. Dan Wangkai suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "By the way, you haven't unlocked the 8th level of the potential imprint." Qin Feiyang was stunned and smiled bitterly. "I really haven't." Dan Wangkai took out a Great Creation Pill and gave it to Qin Feiyang. "This is the Great Creation Pill that I just refined a few days ago. It has 6 patterns. Try it." Qin Feiyang nodded. He glanced at Yu Huang at the side. "I'll have to trouble you then." After spending so much time with everyone, it also knew the way to open the door of potential. Hearing Qin Feiyang's words, it immediately released its divine power. Qin Feiyang also immediately took the Great Creation Pill. Even though his cultivation had reached the peak martial monarch realm, he was still a 9-star battle monarch, thus he was still able to activate it. This time, his luck was very good. He succeeded on his first try. It was just that the pain was really unbearable. Next, he sent a sound transmission to Willow Tree. Schwa. Very soon, Willow Tree appeared in the castle and asked, "Young master, did you succeed?" "No." Qin Feiyang shook his head and briefly explained the situation. Sigh. Willow Tree sighed deeply and said, "Don't be discouraged. Even Zhuge Mingyang was able to open up a different path to becoming a god. I believe you can do it too." Qin Feiyang nodded. Following that, Willow Tree brought Qin Feiyang and Yu Huang out of the castle. After appearing outside, Willow Tree immediately returned Chang Shui and the castle to Qin Feiyang. Still the peak. It seems that this period of closed-door cultivation has been in vain. Once he saw through Qin Feiyang's current cultivation, Zhuge Mingyang sneered. "Shut up, what do you know?" Willow Tree said angrily. "There's no need to talk nonsense with him." Qin Feiyang waved his hand, glanced at Zhuge Mingyang indifferently, and looked at the desert in front of him. Woo-woo. Storms of hundreds of feet and tens of thousands of feet roared wantonly in the desert. The stuffy air made one unable to help but feel irritated. In short, the environment here was many times worse than the outer part of the desert. Moreover, Even he felt a sense of fatal danger from the howling storm. Zhuge Mingyang said indifferently, "The storm here is enough to kill you in seconds. You'd better go hide in the castle." Yu Huang raised his eyebrows and said, "You talk too much nonsense." Qin Feiyang suddenly noticed that Zhuge Mingyang was holding a small black flag in his hand, and said, "What is that?" "That's the Sky Devil flag. According to Zhuge Mingyang, it devours the undead as food." Along the way, the Sky Devil flag has indeed devoured a lot of undead. Willow Tree secretly said. "There are really undead?" Qin Feiyang was shocked. "That's right. Last time, Li Yun was controlled by the undead and almost killed. And according to our guess, the undead here should be controlled by the Guardian." Willow Tree said. "Has the Guardian ever appeared?" Qin Feiyang asked. "No." Willow Tree shook his head. Sky Devil flag. Qin Feiyang glanced at the small flag again, and a cold light flashed in the depths of his eyes. Devouring the undead as food meant that this Sky Devil flag was also a monster. Moreover, it should be a monster with a weapon spirit. How many more tricks does this person have? Woo woo. Suddenly, a tornado more than 10,000 feet high, carrying yellow sand all over the sky, rushed towards Qin Feiyang and the others. Willow Tree's face changed, and he quickly rolled up Qin Feiyang and dodged. Those numerous wind blades actually left behind numerous ghastly wounds on Qin Feiyang's body. Blood was flowing out from them. Even Willow Tree, Ning Mingi, Li Yun, Zhuge Mingyang, and Yu Huang also had many wounds on their bodies. "Damn, the power of this storm is a bit too strong," Yu Huang said in shock. It had also been in the castle, so it didn't know how many dangers Willow Tree and the others had experienced along the way. "It's indeed a bit scary. However, it can't threaten me for the time being," Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, and decisively opened his armor. Yu Huang also opened his armor. This armor was snatched from the hands of the great deacon last time. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said, "Let's go." The group of people cut through the sky and continued to rush towards the depths. Willow Tree and the others had been in the desert for almost a year, and they had been rushing, but they still hadn't reached the end of the desert. Chapter 1647. Not long after, Qin Feiyang saw the undead. Dozens of undead jumped out of the storm and rushed towards Qin Feiyang. Looking at this scene, Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said, "Do you think I'm easy to bully?" "That's right. They just think you're easy to bully. Who told you to be the weakest?" Zhuge Mingyang laughed and waved the Sky Devil flag. The black fog swept through the sky and swallowed the dozens of black shadows. Qin Feiyang looked at the Sky Devil flag and his eyes flashed. Zhuge Mingyang said, "I helped you solve the crisis, shouldn't you thank me?" Willow Tree coldly snorted, "Without you, we can still suppress it." "I'm sure. But, is it as convenient as my Sky Devil flag? I don't even need to revive," Zhuge Mingyang said proudly. Willow Tree was furious. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice, "What are you competing with him for? Concentrate on dealing with the storm." "Yes." Willow Tree quickly nodded. At this point, not only did the power of the storm become stronger, it also became very dense. Almost every 10 breaths, a storm would blow over. But after activating the armor, Qin Feiyang was able to handle it with ease. Although he would sometimes be injured, at least it would not endanger his life. In the blink of an eye, 2 days passed. In these 2 days, thousands of undead had appeared. Without exception, they were all swallowed by Zhuge Mingyang's Sky Devil flag. "Wait." In the morning, Li Yun suddenly stopped, glanced at the yellow sand on the left, and said in surprise, "Look, is there a hall over there?" "Hall?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, and a flash of light flashed past his eyes as he quickly looked up. Willow Tree and the others also turned their heads to look. In the void, yellow sand flew all over the sky, blocking their line of sight. But Willow Tree and the others, like Li Yun, all caught the outline of a hall. However, Qin Feiyang did not see it. Because his cultivation was not as high as Willow Tree and the others, he could not see as far as Willow Tree and the others. Qin Feiyang urged, "Let's go and take a look." If it really was a large hall, then it was very likely that they had already reached the end. Seeing that Qin Feiyang was in such a hurry, Willow Tree immediately flew over with him. As they got closer, Qin Feiyang finally saw the outline of a large hall. Furthermore, it was extremely huge. According to his initial estimation, it occupied an area of at least a few hundred kilometers and towered into the clouds. It was like a primeval demonic beast lying there, emitting a mysterious aura. It really is a palace, but isn't it a little too big? Zhuge Mingyang's face was full of shock. Indeed. In my entire life, this is the first time I've seen such a tall hall. Li Yun nodded. With their eyesight, they could now clearly see the hall. The hall was completely black, like a huge mountain, towering into the sky. That shocking majestic aura rushed towards them, and even they, the false gods, could not help but feel a sense of insignificance. And on one side of the front of the hall, there was a huge stone tablet. The stone tablet was also completely black, and there were 6 big words engraved on it. Forbidden area. Trespassers, die. These 6 words, as if they were cast in blood, emitted a shocking murderous aura. Even Qin Feiyang could not bear this murderous aura. A deep fear surged uncontrollably from the depths of his heart. He felt that those 6 words were like 6 death gods. Qin Feiyang and the others stopped half a mile in front of the hall and looked at the hall from afar, their eyes full of vigilance. Why is there a hall here? And it's in the deepest part of the desert. This is too strange. Could there be some demon sealed inside? Li Yun and Ning Mingi whispered. Zhuge Mingyang asked, "You've been in the Black Tortoise world for so many years. Have you not heard of this hall?" "No. It can be said that no one has ever been here since ancient times. The reason we can come here this time is entirely because we ate the divine meat of the giant python. Our bodies have been strengthened, and we can barely withstand the storm here," Li Yun and the others said. Zhuge Mingyang nodded and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. He found that Qin Feiyang's eyes had a trace of desire and excitement. What's going on? Could this hall be Qin Feiyang's purpose of entering the desert? Zhuge Mingyang was suspicious. His eyes flashed slightly, and he said in a deep voice, "This hall is too strange. It's best that we don't provoke it, go around it, and continue to go deeper." "No." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. As expected. Zhuge Mingyang sneered and said, "Brother Qin, what do you want to do?" Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and said, "Enter this hall." "Enter? Don't joke. Didn't you see what's written on the stone tablet? Forbidden area, trespassers, die. You don't want to live, but we do," Zhuge Mingyang said. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said, "Don't you just want to know what's in this hall? Why do you have to be so sarcastic? What do you mean? Brother Qin, have you always known about the existence of this hall?" Li Yun said in surprise. "Isn't it obvious? He asked us to enter the desert for this hall." Zhuge Mingyang sneered. Li Yun was stunned. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Then what's in this hall? Why do you have to come all the way here?" Qin Feiyang did not answer. "Brother Qin, we're in the same boat now. You can't plot against us behind our backs," Zhuge Mingyang said. Willow Tree said angrily, "Are you trying to sow discord again?" "Am I trying to sow discord? You're too funny. We've come all the way here. At least let us know the purpose of coming here." Li Yun, Ning Mingi, don't you think so? Zhuge Mingyang said. Ning Mingi looked at Qin Feiyang, whose face was a little gloomy, and said indifferently, "I don't care. I'll do whatever the young master says." Zhuge Mingyang was stunned. Actually, it doesn't matter whether you know or not. Because I believe in Brother Qin's character. He definitely won't harm us. Li Yun also said. Zhuge Mingyang's face became extremely ugly. He did want to sow discord, but he didn't expect that Li Yun and Ning Mingi wouldn't fall for it. This made his current situation a little awkward. Qin Feiyang glanced at Zhuge Mingyang with sarcasm, then looked up at the main hall and waved his hand. Let's go. Without any hesitation, Willow Tree immediately took Qin Feiyang and flew toward the main hall. Yu Huang also stayed by Qin Feiyang's side, staring warily at the surroundings. Li Yun and Ning Mingi looked at each other and quickly followed. Only Zhuge Mingyang stayed where he was, hesitating. After dodging a few storms, Qin Feiyang and the others came to the main hall in an instant. The strange thing was, there was no storm within 100 feet in front of the main hall. It was as if there was an invisible barrier in the void that isolated the storm. Chapter 1648. When Li Yun heard this, she pointed to the door of the main hall and said, "Then you go and push the door." Me? Ning Mingi's expression froze. He looked at the stone door of the main hall with fear in his eyes. Just the door of the main hall was more than 100 feet high. Li Yun teased, "Didn't you say that these words are just to scare us? Then what are you afraid of?" "I'm just guessing." Ning Mingi smiled embarrassedly. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. "You guys stay here. I'll go." "Young master, no." Willow Tree hurriedly said. "What's wrong?" Qin Feiyang was puzzled. "You haven't broken through to the pseudo-god realm yet. What if something happens?" "Let me go. With my strength, even if something happens, I should be able to escape unscathed," Willow Tree said. Qin Feiyang thought for a moment and said, "Let me go. At the critical moment, I can enter the castle, and your divine item may not be able to deal with those accidents." What he meant was, Willow Tree's divine item was not on the same level as the castle. If they really encountered danger, the castle would definitely be able to withstand it, but Willow Tree's divine item may not be able to. Willow Tree frowned and wanted to say something. "Enough. Listen to me. You won't go wrong." Qin Feiyang smiled and walked toward the door step by step. Whoosh! Zhuge Mingyang also came to Willow Tree and the others at this time, staring at Qin Feiyang. Soon, Qin Feiyang walked to the steps in front of the door. There were a total of 9 steps, and the stone tablet was beside them. Qin Feiyang tried to step on the first step. After waiting for a while, there was no sound. He also breathed a sigh of relief and stepped on the second step. But suddenly, his body stiffened as if he had discovered something. He glanced behind the stone tablet and his face suddenly turned pale. "What's going on?" Willow Tree and the others were surprised and looked at the stone tablet. But because they were facing the stone tablet, they could not see the situation behind the stone tablet. "All of you, retreat!" Qin Feiyang suddenly shouted, his face full of anxiety, and retreated toward Willow Tree and the others like lightning. "What on earth did you see? Why are you so flustered?" Willow Tree and the others were puzzled, but they did not dare to delay and quickly retreated. At the same time. "You? Kemu? You? Feigo?" Shen following. A terrifying dragon's might, like a volcanic eruption, surged out from behind the stone tablet and rushed towards Qin Feiyang and the others. Everyone's eyes trembled. Lu Mu cried out in alarm, his face pale. "It's the fire dragon!" Willow Tree roared. "Fire dragon!" Li Yun, Ning Mingi, Yu Huang, and even Zhuge Mingyang changed their expressions. "That's right. It's me." A sinister laugh sounded from behind the stone tablet. The waterfall of the dragon's power was extremely terrifying, and rushed toward Qin Feiyang and the others. The group of people was immediately imprisoned, unable to move. Then, a 10-meter-long fire dragon flew out from behind the stone tablet and entered everyone's line of sight. He actually didn't die, Yu Huang said in surprise. Although the fire dragon's figure was much smaller than last time, it had seen the fire dragon with its own eyes, so it could recognize it at a glance. Hearing Yu Huang's words, the fire dragon's body suddenly emitted an astonishing amount of hostility, and said, "Last time, it was because of my carelessness that I fell into the hands of Qin Feiyang. This time, it's you who are going to die, especially you, Qin Feiyang. Today, I swear I won't stop until I swallow you alive." The fire dragon stared at Qin Feiyang, its huge eyes full of resentment. "Is that so? I'm afraid you don't have the ability. If you have the ability, release the pressure and fight me one-on-one." Qin Feiyang sneered. "One-on-one?" The fire dragon was stunned, and then it raised its head and laughed, its laughter full of ridicule. "You don't dare?" Qin Feiyang provoked. "Do you think I will give you a chance to revive Changshui?" The fire dragon smiled contemptuously, and a divine power swept out, carrying a destructive aura, and blasted towards Qin Feiyang. "Humph. You think I don't exist?" Suddenly, a cold snort sounded. Zhuge Mingyang, who was behind, suddenly rushed out a terrifying divine power, and broke the fire dragon's majesty. This, Qin Feiyang's body became light, and he turned his head to stare at Zhuge Mingyang in surprise. One must know. This fire dragon was a true god of war. Back then, it even forced his ancestor to enter the third floor of the miracle. One could only imagine how powerful it was. And Zhuge Mingyang was only a false god, and he hadn't opened all the doors of potential, so how could he break the fire dragon's pressure? The fire dragon also looked at Zhuge Mingyang in surprise. Whoosh! After Qin Feiyang came back to his senses, he immediately rushed towards Willow Tree and the others. The most important thing now was not to think about Zhuge Mingyang's matter. He had to meet up with Willow Tree and the others first. Because only by standing together could they advance and retreat together. Boom! However, there was a trace of ridicule in the fire dragon's eyes, and the pressure emerged again, rushing towards the group of people. Zhuge Mingyang said, "Go to the castle quickly. As for Willow Tree and the others, I will take them to my space divine item, and then we will communicate and discuss countermeasures." Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Zhuge Mingyang's words were not credible at all. But now, he had no choice. In the blink of an eye, the pressure had already rushed over. Qin Feiyang had no time to hesitate, and immediately went into the castle, and then waved his hand, and the situation outside appeared. Immediately, a scene that almost drove him crazy appeared in front of his eyes. Zhuge Mingyang did not take Willow Tree and the others into the space divine item. In other words, Zhuge Mingyang left Willow Tree, Yu Huang, Ning Mingyi, and Li Yun outside. "Zhuge Mingyang, you bastard." The three people and one beast were also furious. Lu Mu didn't hesitate. He hurriedly brought Li Yun and the other two as well as Yu Huang into his spatial divine item. Humph! The fire dragon snorted coldly. The terrifying pressure firmly imprisoned the space divine item. At the same time, its body, which was more than 10 meters long, expanded in the wind. In the blink of an eye, its body became more than 10,000 feet long, like a majestic mountain, suspended in the void, and its power rolled in all directions. The storm that was enough to kill a fake god did not even leave a trace on its body. "You dare to hide in the space divine item in front of me?" The fire dragon's eyes were full of contempt, and it raised its huge tail and slammed it. Clang! The Willow Tree's space divine item was shattered on the spot. The three people and one beast fell in the void in a sorry state, their bodies dripping with blood. Although the fire dragon's huge tail hit the space divine item, because the fire dragon's strength was too strong, even they suffered devastating injuries. Boom! The fire dragon's pressure rushed over. Once again, the three people and the beast were imprisoned. What should we do? At this moment, facing the war god-level fire dragon, they really felt the aura of death. Their eyes were full of fear. Just a few ants, how dare you follow Qin Feiyang around all day? You really don't know life from death, I will send you to hell now. The fire dragon said contemptuously. Its huge tail was raised high, and with a deafening sound of wind and thunder, it slammed towards the three people and one beast. Chapter 1649. Stop. Just as the three people and one beast were in despair, Qin Feiyang appeared out of thin air and shouted at the fire dragon. The 6 elders also appeared together with him. Chang Shui was in their hands, and it had already entered the state of recovery. The fire dragon's might covered the sky and covered the earth, but it was blocked by Chang Shui. Young master, what are you doing here? Willow Tree roared. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, I can't watch you die. It's so touching. Even I can't help but cry. But even if you come out, you can't save them. Die, ants. The fire dragon's murderous intent soared to the sky. Its giant tail was like a thick whip, slamming towards the three people and one beast. You'd better restrain yourself. Do it. Qin Feiyang's eyes were cold. The 6 elders' eyes were also filled with murderous intent. Chang Shui turned into a flash of light and charged towards the fire dragon. Although the 6 of them were not as terrifying as the 100 or so fake gods that were awakened at the same time, Chang Shui's power was enough to threaten the fire dragon. The power was enough to tear the sky and split the earth. Huolong was shocked. He stared fixedly at Chang Shui, his expression incomparably ferocious. It wanted to kill Willow Tree and the others. But it was also afraid of Chang Shui. In the end, it reluctantly withdrew its giant tail and used its pressure to sweep up the Willow Tree and the others and Yu Huang. In a flash, it appeared in front of the gate of the main hall. Damn it! Qin Feiyang cursed in his heart. He originally wanted to use Chang Shui to scare away the fire dragon. This way, the Willow Tree and the others would naturally be out of danger. But he didn't expect the fire dragon to be so smart and take the Willow Tree and the others away. Do you think it's possible to save them? The fire dragon sneered. Qin Feiyang turned to the fire dragon and said word by word, if you dare to kill them, I guarantee that you won't be able to leave today. The fire dragon's eyes were full of mockery instead of anger. I know that the guardian must be hiding somewhere right now. But if you think that you can survive by relying on it, then you're wrong. I believe you haven't forgotten what happened at the entrance of the entrance last time. Fire Dragon was there too. Didn't I kill you all the same? So you'd better not count on it. Qin Feiyang grabbed Sangshu and sneered. The fire's pupils narrowing its eyes. Although Qin Feiyang was unable to fully revive Pale Snow and the ancient castle, these 2 divine artifacts would automatically protect their master. If the Chang Shui and the castle were to revive on their own and display the power of the law again, then the guardian really wouldn't be able to help it. I'll give you a chance. Let them go and fight with me. Qin Feiyang said. The fire dragon was taken aback. The Willow Tree trio, Yu Huang, the 6 elders, and Zhuge Mingyang, who was hiding in the space divine item, were all stunned. Did he hear it wrong? Qin Feiyang actually challenged the fire dragon? You have to know. The fire dragon was a true god of war. And Qin Feiyang was only at the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm. The difference between the two could be described as 108,000 miles. This was simply courting death. Qin Feiyang looked at the fire dragon and said, you didn't hear it wrong. Let's have a one-on-one battle. If I lose, I'll give my life to you. Are you sure? The fire dragon asked. Of course. But for the sake of fairness, you have to suppress your cultivation to the same realm as mine, and you can't use your pressure to imprison me. Qin Feiyang said. Suppress cultivation? No pressure. The fire dragon raised his eyebrows. What's wrong? Don't tell me you don't dare. Don't forget, you are the god of war. Even if you suppress your cultivation to the same realm as mine, even if you don't use your pressure, you still have the absolute advantage. After all, no matter how you suppress it, your divine power and divine body are still there. I'm afraid that just relying on divine power alone is enough to kill me. Qin Feiyang said. Huh, the fire dragon laughed out loud, his eyes filled with killing intent, and said, all right, I'll satisfy you, but you have to promise that you won't play any tricks. I've always been a man of my word. Qin Feiyang said. Cut the crap. I've always believed that the words of humans can't be trusted. What if you join forces to revive Chang Shui after I return these people to you? Wouldn't I lose more than I gain? I want you to swear in the name of your ancestor, Qin Badian. The fire dragon said. It seems that you know me quite well. You know that my ancestor is very important to me. Qin Feiyang mocked. The fire dragon said impatiently, cut the crap, hurry up. Okay. I swear in the name of my ancestor that I'll fight you fairly and won't let a third party interfere. If I violate this oath, I'll be destroyed by the heavens and never reincarnated. Qin Feiyang shouted. The fire dragon said, also, you can't use Chang Shui or the castle. Young master, please reconsider. The willow tree exclaimed. Without the qi and blood pearl, even if he used Chang Shui and the castle, Qin Feiyang wouldn't be a match for the fire dragon, let alone without Chang Shui and the castle. Qin Feiyang glanced at the willow tree, then looked at the fire dragon and said, I swear, I won't use Chang Shui or the castle. Awesome. Even I can't help but like you. The fire dragon laughed and withdrew his pressure. The 3 people and 1 beast immediately rushed to Qin Feiyang's side. The willow tree said, young master, quickly give us Chang Shui. We'll kill it. But Qin Feiyang was indifferent. Li Yun said in surprise, Brother Qin, you're not really going to fight it one-on-one, are you? With your current strength, you're no match for it. Yeah. Isn't it just an oath? What's the big deal? Ning Mingi also said. The name of our ancestors is not to be blasphemed. I swear in the name of our ancestors. I will abide by it. Qin Feiyang said. Young master, the willow tree was extremely anxious. That's enough. Don't say anything. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and turned to look at the willow tree, saying, I remember that the other people from the Vanga League seemed to be in your space artifact. But why didn't I see them when your space artifact shattered? The willow tree said, my space artifact is too small. It can't even accommodate dozens of people, so not long after we went deep into the desert, I transferred them to Li Yun's space artifact. So that's how it is. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. He looked at Ning Mingi and Li Yun and said with a smile, it seems that you two have gotten along very well in the past year. Otherwise, Ning Mingi would definitely not be at ease to let the people from the Vanga League stay in Li Yun's space artifact. Today is different from the past. Now that we are standing on the same boat and going through life and death together, we naturally can't be calculative about past grievances. Ning Mingi said with a smile. Yes. After going through so many things, we can be considered to have seen through it. Life is short. Why should we make a fuss over such a small matter as if we are enemies who killed our fathers? Li Yun also said. Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 of them and said with a smile, I'm really gratified that you can think like this. Li Yun was stunned and said teasingly, it's not appropriate to use the word gratified on us. After all, no matter what, we are still considered elders, and gratified is usually used by the elders to the juniors. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He shook his head and said with a smile, it does seem to be a little inappropriate. Seeing that Qin Feiyang and the others were chatting as if there was no one else around, the fire dragon could not help but be furious. He said angrily, are you guys done chatting? Do you think I don't exist? Willow Tree and the others immediately looked at the fire dragon, their eyes flashing coldly. What are you glaring at? If it weren't for Qin Feiyang, you would have been corpses by now. No, not even corpses would be left. The fire dragon's eyes were full of contempt. They were even more annoyed. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said, "Leave." Willow Tree said, "Young master, think about it again. Don't be stupid. My ancestors' reputation can't be tarnished because of me. Willow Tree, Chang Shui is for you. Be careful of the guardian. But remember, no matter how the battle between me and the fire dragon is, you can't interfere." Qin Feiyang turned around and handed the Chang Shui to Willow Tree. He said very seriously, "Young master." Willow Tree was burning with anxiety. "This is an order." Qin Feiyang shouted. Willow Tree's eyes trembled. He bowed and took the Chang Shui. He said respectfully, "This subordinate obeys." Qin Feiyang turned around, his eyes firmly locked on the fire dragon. The fire dragon waved its huge tail and also stared at Qin Feiyang. But the difference was, Qin Feiyang's expression was extremely solemn. And the fire dragon's eyes were full of sneer and murderous intent. Seeing that Willow Tree and the others and Yu Huang were still standing behind him, Qin Feiyang said angrily, "What are you waiting for? Leave." Willow Tree sighed, looked at Ning Mingi and the others, and said, "Let's go." Ning Mingi, Li Yun, Yu Huang, and the 6 elders also sighed helplessly. They turned around and walked half a mile away. Then they stopped and looked up at Qin Feiyang, their eyes full of worry. He actually dared to fight the fire dragon one-on-one. How stupid. In the space divine item. Zhuge Mingyang snorted and also stared at Qin Feiyang and the fire dragon through the screen. Woo-woo, there was no storm around the hall. But at this moment, the sound of wind gradually sounded in the void. Qin Feiyang's long hair and clothes were fluttering at this moment. Around the fire dragon, gusts of wind gradually blew. A man and a beast stood in the air, looking at each other, invisible sparks colliding. The wind was getting stronger and stronger. The sound of the wind was also getting more and more ear-piercing. The fire dragon's body shook violently and shouted, "Can we begin?" "Bring it on," Qin Feiyang said. Boom! The aura of a peak 9-star War Emperor realm exploded. His long hair danced in the wind, his clothes fluttered, and his thin body, in the eyes of Willow Tree and the others, was like a huge mountain, incomparably majestic. Go ahead. Continue to be arrogant. In any case, I will never show mercy. The fire dragon raised its head and laughed, its divine might rolling out. But in an instant, its cultivation was suppressed to the peak of the 9-star War Emperor realm. Following closely. Without any hesitation, it raised its huge tail and charged towards Qin Feiyang with the deafening sound of wind and thunder. Boom! At the same time, Qin Feiyang's body also surged with a monstrous battle intent, as if he was possessed by a war god. That's right. It was the battle character art. Facing the fire dragon, he did not dare to be careless. After all, the fire dragon's strength far surpassed his. Most importantly, the fire dragon had a divine body and divine power. As for him, he had a mortal body and battle chi. There was no comparison at all. However, since he had already come this far, he would never back down. His self-esteem, his pride, would not allow him to back down. Chapter 1650. Boom! Qin Feiyang took a step forward, and an invisible force instantly roared into the sky, emitting an apocalyptic aura. For moves of the ruins of End. He had already evolved a divine art from the start, which showed how wary he was of the fire dragon. Boom! The invisible force rolled out and hit the fire dragon's giant tail. Immediately, a deafening explosion resounded in the area. Then, The fire dragon's giant tail crushed the invisible force without any resistance. Moreover, after being hit by the 4 moves of the ruins of End, not a single scale on the fire dragon's giant tail fell off. Is this a divine body? Qin Feiyang spat out a mouthful of blood, his body and mind trembling as he retreated. But this did not dampen his fighting spirit. On the contrary, he yearned for the war god realm more and more. He waved his hands at lightning speed. The 4 moves of the ruins of End were evolved again. However, after evolving the 4 moves of the ruins of End, a waning moon and a scorching sun appeared behind him. The 3 moves of Eclipse Moon. Kill! Qin Feiyang roared. His hair flew in anger. The 2 divine arts shook the sky and once again struck the fire dragon's giant tail. It's useless. In front of my divine body, all divine arts are rotten wood, unable to withstand a single blow. The fire dragon laughed maniacally as its giant tail pressed down fiercely. Boom! The 2 divine arts shattered one after another, not having any effect at all. They were really like rotten wood. Poof! Qin Feiyang spat out another mouthful of blood. After suffering a series of backlashes, his face was pale. Did you see that? Without Chang Shui, without the castle, what are you? You're nothing, even worse than an ant. If I want to kill you, I only need to move my tail. The fire dragon laughed maniacally with an extremely contemptuous expression. The more it's like this, the more I won't give up. My fighting spirit and fighting spirit are endless. Qin Feiyang roared angrily. Boom! Purple gold dragon Qi soared into the sky, and a divine statue appeared in the sky. Qin Badian. Looking at the statue, the fire dragon's eyes immediately burned with raging flames of fury. It directly abandoned Qin Feiyang and soared into the sky. Its giant tail surged with divine power as it slapped towards the statue. The prestige of our ancestors is not something you can offend. Die! Qin Feiyang roared. The statue raised the broken sword in its hand and slashed at the giant tail. Clang! Clang! Immediately, sparks flew everywhere. It was like a firework explosion, so dazzling that people couldn't open their eyes. He is the Qin Emperor? Willow Tree and the others looked at the statue and mumbled to themselves. Although they had never seen him in person, just by looking at this statue, they could imagine how handsome this person was back then. Qin Badian, back then I forced you to enter the 3rd level. Today, I killed your descendant. This is the result of offending me. The fire dragon roared angrily, exuding a monstrous aura. The giant tail surged with divine light, accompanied by a loud crack. The broken sword cracked inch by inch. And the statue was also disintegrating. Even the supreme divine art created by our ancestors is no match for it. Qin Feiyang murmured. No. It was not that the divine dragon art was inferior to the fire dragon. It was that his cultivation was not enough and could not unleash the true power of the divine dragon art. Crack. After a few breaths, the statue and broken sword completely disintegrated. But Qin Feiyang suddenly saw another palm-sized fragment falling from the sky. That fragment was completely red. Could it be? Qin Feiyang suddenly raised his head and glanced at the fire dragon's giant tail. The next moment, he was invigorated. On the fire dragon's giant tail, he found a piece of broken dragon scale and a drop of dragon blood dripped from the broken part. It turned out that the fragment that fell down was the fire dragon's dragon scale. This also meant that the divine dragon art could hurt the fire dragon. To Qin Feiyang, this was simply an enormous piece of good news. It actually hurt my dragon scale. At the same time, the fire dragon floated in the sky and looked at the broken dragon scale on the giant tail. Its eyes were filled with disbelief, but it was soon filled with anger. Unforgivable. Absolutely unforgivable. Qin Badian, today, I will send your descendant to hell and reunite with you. The fire dragon let out a furious roar as its divine power surged out. Although it suppressed its cultivation, the power of its divine power far surpassed Qin Feiyang's. The void within a radius of tens of thousands of miles was instantly shattered and collapsed. On the ground, yellow sand billowed, covering the sky and the sun. Qin Feiyang, go to hell for me. Its voice was like a loud bell, shaking the sky. The divine power was like a large waterfall, pouring down from the sky, heading straight for Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's pupils constricted, and he hurriedly dodged. However, he was shocked to find that the divine power's aura was firmly locked onto him. In this situation, he had no way to dodge. Because no matter where he hid, the divine power would follow him. Unless he entered the castle. But before, he had sworn not to use the castle. Boom! He gritted his teeth and activated his armor. Divine weapon? The fire dragon raised its eyebrows. I only said that I don't need Cheng Shui and the castle. I didn't say that I don't know how to use other divine weapons. This isn't a violation of the oath, right? Qin Feiyang said coldly. No. The fire dragon shook its head, its eyes filled with disdain, and said, as long as you don't use Cheng Shui and the castle, you can use as many divine weapons as you want, because I don't care about them at all. Don't be too arrogant. Qin Feiyang roared angrily. Golden light burst out from his palm, turning into a golden torrent, going against the current and blasting towards the divine power. Return formula. Boom! In an instant, the golden light and divine power collided in the sky. Sigh. It's futile. Li Yun shook her head and sighed. The essence of divine power and battle chi were worlds apart. If divine power was the sky, then battle chi was an ant under the sky. They were not on the same level. Therefore, once the fire dragon used divine power, no matter what Qin Feiyang did, it was impossible to block it. But in the next moment, he was stunned. He saw that the golden light and divine power were in a stalemate in the sky. How is this possible? Not only Li Yun, but Ning Mingyi was also shocked. As far as I know, this is a heaven-defying divine art that young master has mastered, called the return formula. It can give you a taste of your own medicine. If young master is also a war god, then I believe that with this return formula alone, young master can suppress the fire dragon. Willow Tree said. However, before he finished speaking, the divine power shattered the golden light like a hot knife through butter and blasted towards Qin Feiyang. Although it's only been a few breaths, it's enough to show that the return formula is extraordinary. Li Yun murmured. Ning Mingyi nodded in agreement. But at the same time, everyone was worried. Facing the fire dragon's divine power and anger, could Qin Feiyang really withstand it? Puff. Looking at Qin Feiyang again. The return formula was crushed, and he suffered an extremely serious injury. His arm under the armor was lacerated and blood flowed out. There were even bloody marks on his body. But the fighting spirit in his eyes had never been extinguished. He was telling himself that he could not lose. Because if he were to lose here, everyone around him would die. Although the divine power was terrifying, he had a heart that refused to admit defeat. Swoosh! He took a step forward and flew towards the main hall. The fire dragon was stunned and sneered, "You haven't even warmed up yet, and you're already running away?" Qin Feiyang looked at the main hall and turned a deaf ear. "Huh, Qin Badian, do you see, this is your descendant, even I feel embarrassed for you." The fire dragon laughed again and again, his expression full of pride. He looked down at Qin Feiyang and said, "No matter where you run, it's a dead end." The divine power was rapidly approaching. An aura of death enveloped Qin Feiyang's heart. But he did not panic at all. He landed in front of the main hall's door and then turned to look at the divine power surging towards him. Boom! The divine power blasted towards him. In an instant, Qin Feiyang took a step forward and disappeared without a trace. Step formula. It was comparable to teleportation. Boom! The divine power blasted on the main hall's door. But the main hall's door did not even budge. Bastard! You actually broke your oath. The fire dragon was instantly furious. He thought that Qin Feiyang was hiding in the castle. Who said I broke my oath? Qin Feiyang's voice sounded. The fire dragon was stunned and looked towards the voice, only to see Qin Feiyang standing in front of him at this moment. When did you come up? He looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. I just came up. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and looked down at the main hall's door with a trace of regret in his eyes. Actually, he did this because he wanted to borrow the fire dragon's divine power to smash the main hall's door. But this door's sturdiness was beyond his imagination. The mysterious man did not lie to him. Wanting to enter this hall was as difficult as ascending to heaven. So fast? Could it be teleportation? The fire dragon's heart was full of doubts. Disappearing in one step. This could only be done by teleportation. But this Qin Feiyang was clearly only a combat emperor. How could he master teleportation? Divine art. That's right, it must be some kind of auxiliary divine art. A divine art comparable to teleportation. How many heaven-defying divine arts did this kid have in his hands? If this kid was also a combat god, then the outcome of this battle, thinking of this. The fire dragon couldn't help but shudder. If Qin Feiyang was also a combat god, then it might be the one to die in this battle. No. This kid's threat is too great, even surpassing Qin Badian. He must be eliminated today, otherwise there will be endless trouble in the future. The fire dragon's eyes turned cold. Swoosh! Its body moved like a bolt of lightning, sweeping in front of Qin Feiyang and sweeping its giant tail. The void here collapsed on the spot. Qin Feiyang took a step forward and disappeared again. In the next moment, he appeared behind the fire dragon. He looked at the collapsed void, his eyes full of yearning. This was the strength of a combat god. Even if his cultivation was suppressed, with his terrifying divine body, he could still shatter the void. Boom! Then, before the fire dragon could react, he took out the divine phoenix blade and slashed at the fire dragon's body with all his might. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere. Cracks immediately appeared on one of the dragon's scales. As expected of a divine artifact that has given birth to a spirit. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang was overjoyed. Although the divine phoenix blade had not recovered, its sharpness had not decreased. Of course. If it recovered, it would be even more terrifying. Little bastard, you're courting death. Feeling the pain from his back, the fire dragon was furious. In an instant, it raised its giant tail, and without turning around, it directly smashed towards Qin Feiyang. For an expert of the fire dragon's level, the cracking of dragon scales was indeed only a little pain. But it was also a disgrace. Especially when the opponent was a small character like Qin Feiyang, it couldn't tolerate it. Chapter 1651. Swish. But just as its giant tail was about to hit Qin Feiyang disappeared without a trace. Bastard. The fire dragon was furious. Humph. Qin Feiyang's cold snort echoed in the void. Immediately after, he appeared in the void to the left of the fire dragon. However, just as he appeared, the fire dragon also disappeared instantly. The next moment, the fire dragon appeared in front of him, and its giant tail slammed down. This recovery, Qin Feiyang turned pale with fright. It was too fast, and he couldn't even dodge it. With an enormous bang, Qin Feiyang was like a meteor, and his entire body was dripping with blood as he fell into the desert below. A huge pit with a diameter of hundreds of miles suddenly appeared. His entire body was bleeding. His body under the armor was almost cracked. Young master, the willow tree roared. Do you think you're the only one who can teleport? I'll let you see what real teleportation is. The fire dragon was furious. With another flash, he appeared beside Qin Feiyang in an instant. Divine power rolled out and turned into divine iron, binding Qin Feiyang and suspending him in the void. Preposterous. You actually used teleportation. Ning Mingi glared at the fire dragon and roared. The fire dragon glanced at Ning Mingi and the others and said indifferently, "Did I say that I don't need to teleport? Although you didn't say so, you're being too unfair. You're a war god after all." Facing Qin Feiyang, a mere war emperor, you actually used teleportation. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at? Li Yun said angrily. After I kill you, who will know about this? The fire dragon smiled coldly, staring at Qin Feiyang who was tied up like a dumpling, and shouted, "Shatter for me." Walala. Clang. The divine chain began to shrink. All the bones in Qin Feiyang's body were broken one by one. Even with the armor and the battle symbol art protecting his body, he couldn't stop his body from shattering. Purple gold dragon blood spurted out from the gaps in the armor. This is the consequence of going against me. The fire dragon grinned evilly. Ning Mingi said anxiously, "Willow Tree, quickly revive Chang Shui." No. Willow Tree shook his head. Ning Mingi said angrily, "Can't you see that young master is about to be strangled to death?" Willow Tree was also struggling. "This is the young master's order. We must obey it." Fool. Give me Chang Shui. Let me. If young master blames me, I'll take responsibility for it. Ning Mingi shouted. Willow Tree looked at Ning Mingi, his eyes flickering. Boom. But suddenly, one after another, terrifying auras erupted in the area. Willow Tree and the others were startled and hurriedly looked over. Those auras actually came from Qin Feiyang. At the same time, waves of majestic vitality rushed out from Qin Feiyang's body. The injuries that were covered by the armor immediately recovered at a terrifying speed. This is, Willow Tree and the others' eyes widened, and then ecstasy climbed up their faces. This was the power of cedar. What's going on? The fire dragon was extremely surprised. Buzz. Immediately after, waves of emerald green essence surged out, crazily attacking the divine iron. Crack. In less than 3 breaths, a divine iron suddenly broke. What? The fire dragon's eyes widened in anger. Before it could come back to its senses, the second, the third, the fourth, the divine iron that bound Qin Feiyang broke one by one. Break! Qin Feiyang roared, and his 4 limbs suddenly exerted force, and the divine iron on his body was all shattered in an instant. How is this possible? The fire dragon was dumbfounded. Thank you. Qin Feiyang said to cedar in his heart, then looked at the fire dragon and shouted, "Nothing is impossible." In just a short while, the injuries on his body had already healed. He was hale and hearty, and his face was flushed. Kill. With a furious roar, he held the divine phoenix blade, used the walk formula, and charged towards the fire dragon. With a clang, another dragon scale on the fire dragon's body cracked. The fire dragon lowered its head to look at the cracked dragon scale, and a trace of a smile crept into its eyes. It slowly raised its head, looked at Qin Feiyang opposite it, and said with a smile, "Congratulations, you have completely angered me. Now even if you want to die, it won't be that easy." Although it was smiling, it looked extremely ferocious. Extremely human. Qin Feiyang could not help but feel a surge of fear in his heart. Wait. What am I afraid of? I have faced so many difficulties, so many hardships, and I have walked through them step by step. What is this little bit of hardships? Boom. A shocking battle intent burst out from his body, shaking the heavens and earth. Yes. That's it, or else it won't be fun. The fire dragon smiled ferociously, and teleported, appearing above Qin Feiyang in an instant, and its giant tail smashed down. Even this piece of sky can't stop my battle intent, let alone you. Qin Feiyang roared, and his long hair danced in the void. Like a god of war, he held the divine phoenix blade in his hand and faced the attack. Crazy. He is really crazy. Ning Mingi shouted. Although the divine phoenix blade was strong, it could not be revived, and it could not shake the fire dragon's divine body. Clang. In a flash, the divine phoenix blade and the giant tail met. Accompanied by a deafening sound, another dragon scale on the fire dragon's giant tail shattered. But in this regard, the fire dragon ignored it. The giant tail pressed down fiercely. Crack. Qin Feiyang's arm under the armor shattered on the spot. And his whole body, like a meteorite, smashed into the desert below and was drowned by the yellow sand. The divine phoenix blade also flew out. Hee hee, just watch. I'll make you beg for mercy on your knees. The fire dragon laughed, and his divine power fell from the sky like a waterfall, blasting towards Qin Feiyang. Even the heavens are not qualified to make me kneel, what are you? Qin Feiyang rushed out from the yellow sand. The vitality of the cedar tree was endless, and with the power of the purple gold dragon blood and the fire of life, the shattered arm had been repaired. He waved his hand, and the divine phoenix blade flew through the air and floated in front of him. I, Qin Feiyang, will never let you beg for mercy. He grabbed the divine phoenix blade and once again faced the divine power. His battle intent was boundless. His fighting spirit broke through the Han heavens. With a bang, the divine power fell, and Qin Feiyang was blasted down again. Yellow sand filled the sky. The wounds on his body were shocking. However, no one could see them because they were hidden by the armor. But everyone could see Qin Feiyang's unyielding spirit. He would rather die standing than live kneeling. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang rushed out from the yellow sand once again. His inextinguishable fighting spirit roared in all directions, and the sky changed color. He attacked the fire dragon again and again, but was blasted into the desert again and then climbed up again and again. Let's see how long you can watch. The fire dragon laughed fiercely, his divine power surging, destroying the heavens and earth. As long as the fighting spirit is not extinguished, the flames of war will not be extinguished. The stronger the fire dragon appeared, the more Qin Feiyang refused to admit defeat. His fighting spirit became higher and higher. His aura also became more and more astonishing, as if he could pierce through the sky. Don't be stupid. If this continues, even with Xuesong's help, he will still die. Ning Mingi shouted anxiously. However, Qin Feiyang acted as if he didn't hear it, and continued to fight with the fire dragon again and again. The purple gold dragon blood dyed the sky. Not bad, this kid. Above the clouds, a weak murmur could be heard. No one heard it. No one noticed that there was a golden small beast standing above. The guardian python was also at the side. At this moment, it was staring at Qin Feiyang, its eyes flickering with a sharp light. As time passed, the fire dragon began to feel anxious. Why couldn't this little bastard be beaten to death? One had to know. Although it suppressed its cultivation, with its strength, not to mention a war emperor, even a false god was enough to destroy it. Boom! Qin Feiyang once again smashed into the desert. At this moment, the desert was in a mess. Qin Feiyang didn't know how many times he had smashed into the desert. But every time, he was able to get up. Of course, he also knew that the reason why he could get up again and again was because of Xuesong. If not for Xuesong, he didn't know how many times he would have died. Xuesong's vitality allowed him to have a true immortal body. Although he had suffered countless serious injuries, his aura was not weak at all. On the contrary, the fighting spirit exuding from his body became more and more terrifying. Rumble. Unknowingly, the sky was covered by dark clouds. Thunder and lightning intertwined, and the wind howled. Walala. Heavy rain poured down. Qin Feiyang's clothes and long hair were instantly drenched. But no matter how strong the storm was, it extinguished his fighting spirit and will. Clang! Boom! The divine phoenix blade clanged and swept across the sky, slashing onto the fire dragon's body again and again. Flames burst out. The dragon's scales shattered one after another. But this was not enough to cause actual damage to the fire dragon. The fire dragon was even more shocked. It turned out that it had planned to slowly torture Qin Feiyang. But now, it realized that it couldn't do it at all. Roar! It raised its head and roared, and a fiery red sun rose from behind it. This world suddenly seemed to have turned into a big furnace. The scorching sun rose slowly, getting bigger and bigger. Finally, the scorching sun rose into the clouds, hanging in the sky like a sun. The rain evaporated. The desert dried up. A tremendous amount of godly power surged in all directions and instantly enveloped the entire area. And in that scorching sun, there was a huge dragon shadow roaring. The dragon's might descended, covering the sky and the earth. When the people present saw this scene, they couldn't help but feel a sense of despair. Divine art, Willow Tree murmured. The appearance of the divine art proved that the fire dragon didn't want to continue playing. Ning Mingi roared, "Young master, give the order, revive Chang Shui." Yu Huang also urged, "Now isn't the time to be swayed by loyalty. Hurry up." But Qin Feiyang still turned a deaf ear. He raised his head and stared at the scorching sun hanging in the sky, as well as the dragon's shadow roaring in the scorching sun. Not only was there no fear in his eyes, but his fighting spirit was still soaring. Fight! There seemed to be a voice roaring in his heart. Boom! All of a sudden, his fighting spirit rose to an unprecedented height. The space around him began to twist and distort. At the same time, a dull sound came from his body, as if he had broken some shackles. Then, he seemed to have lost consciousness and closed his eyes. His mind entered a space of nothingness. Chapter 1652. Why is he still closing his eyes? Willow Tree and the others were bewildered. The fire dragon was also slightly taken aback, and then sneered, "Have you given up resisting? In fact, you should have done so earlier, because no matter how you struggle, you can't defeat me." Roar! His voice fell. In the scorching sun hanging in the sky, the dragon's shadow suddenly let out a loud dragon roar. Immediately after, the dragon's shadow rushed out of the scorching sun, carrying the power to destroy heaven and earth, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws towards Qin Feiyang. "Young master, be careful." Willow Tree quivered and hurriedly shouted. But Qin Feiyang seemed not to have heard it, and also seemed not to have noticed the roaring dragon's shadow. His eyes were still closed. In the empty space, Qin Feiyang glanced around, with a trace of confusion in his eyes. Where was this? How did he suddenly come to such a strange place? He tentatively took a step forward. There was nothing, and there was dead silence all around, as if he had fallen into a bottomless black abyss. What is war? Suddenly, a faintly discernible voice came from the darkness in front of him. Who's talking? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Answer me, what is war? The faintly discernible voice sounded again. Qin Feiyang used the move formula and rushed towards the place where the voice came from. The darkness was endless. Answer me, what is war? The ethereal voice sounded again. War? Qin Feiyang stopped, his brows tightly knitted together. Wait. This voice, why was it so familiar? The next moment, his body and mind trembled, and his face was full of bewilderment. This voice, wasn't it his own voice? But why would his voice appear here? Answer me, or you will never see me. The ethereal voice sounded again. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered. What was war? After a long time, he raised his head, looked at the dark area in front of him, and said, "War is perseverance and unyielding. War is unyielding and unyielding. To fight is to rather die in glory than to live in dishonor. A fighter will never admit defeat. Warriors are invincible. Warriors are feared by gods and demons. Warrior, break the universe. Warriors, fight against the heavens and the earth. This is the battle in my heart." Qin Feiyang shouted. A terrifying battle intent burst out from him like an erupting volcano, spreading in all directions. Strands of divine light suddenly emerged from the darkness ahead. The divine light became more and more intense. It was as if the clouds were parted to reveal the sky. The darkness quickly dissipated. In the end, a huge character appeared in the void in front of Qin Feiyang. Fight. It was a battle. The word battle floated in the air. It was as big as a mountain and shone brightly. Every single stroke was like a god of war, emitting a boundless battle intent. "Were you the one talking just now?" Qin Feiyang looked at the word battle in astonishment. "Wrong. This is your heartfelt thought. This word battle was also formed by your will. Unyielding and unyielding, this is the profound meaning of the battle secret art." The ethereal voice sounded again. Following closely, the word battle turned into a stream of light and merged with Qin Feiyang's mind. Although a long time had passed here, it was only a moment outside. Roar. The dragon's shadow roared in the sky, and the terrifying divine power destroyed all directions. "Willow tree," Ning Mingi shouted. Willow tree gritted its teeth and immediately summoned Chang Shui. Swish. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang suddenly opened his eyes. 2 rays of purple gold light burst out of his eyes. Unyielding and unyielding, never admitting defeat. "I see," he murmured and suddenly looked up at the dragon roar. An even more terrifying battle intent roared out from his body. The desert trembled. The void shook. The battle intent went straight to the sky. The dark clouds dissipated, the rainstorm stopped, and the sky instantly became clear again. What's going on? It can actually trigger the power of heaven and earth. Willow Tree and the others looked at the sky in shock. Fire Dragon looked at this scene and was also extremely shocked. The dragon's shadow had already roared in front of Qin Feiyang. Warriors, the gods and demons fear. Warriors, destroy the universe. Breakers, battle the heavens and the earth. Today, I, Qin Feiyang, will use endless battle intent to go against the heavens, break the rules, shatter the shackles, and open the path to becoming a god. Qin Feiyang roared, his body surging with battle intent. His aura instantly soared crazily. Woo-woo. Boom. In the sky, the wind and clouds surged again, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. But it was not a dark cloud. It was a purple gold cloud. The dancing thunder and lightning were also purple gold. What? To use battle intent to break the shackles and open the path to becoming a god? How is this possible? Willow Tree and the others were extremely shocked. This was the first time they had heard of such a path to becoming a god. Crack. Suddenly, a purple gold divine thunder fell from the sky, carrying a shocking heavenly power, and struck towards Qin Feiyang. Thunder tribulation actually fell from the sky. What's going on? Everyone was surprised. Going against the heavens. Heavenly tribulation. Above the clouds, the golden small beast looked at Qin Feiyang and muttered to itself. Listening to its tone, it was more and more interested in Qin Feiyang. Crack. The heavenly tribulation fell at an extremely fast speed. Almost at the same time as the dragon's shadow, it blasted onto Qin Feiyang's body. His body was instantly torn to pieces. The cedar that merged into his body was constantly releasing a huge amount of vitality to repair his body. Crack. The second heavenly tribulation fell again, destroying all directions. Willow Tree and the others, including the fire dragon, did not dare to stay and quickly retreated. Boom! The heavenly tribulation blasted onto Qin Feiyang's body, and with a crack, the armor on his body was actually shattered. Crack! The third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth heavenly tribulation fell one after another. Qin Feiyang's entire body was submerged by the heavenly tribulation, and his body was fragmented, and even the vitality of the cedar could not repair it. Crack! The ninth heavenly tribulation fell with a loud bang. Qin Feiyang's body, Qinkuan bag, and even the inner demons were directly shattered. The tens of thousands of cedar that merged into his body rushed out of his flesh and blood. But at this moment, every cedar looked dim and their leaves were also withered. Obviously. In order to heal Qin Feiyang's injuries, they had little vitality left. At the same time, the ancient castle also appeared. It floated in the void, and pieces of divine light shone down, enveloping all the cedar and blocking the remaining power of the heavenly tribulation. The divine phoenix blade also rose into the air and floated beside the ancient castle, as if it was seeking protection. In the sky, the purple gold clouds also dispersed. The heavenly tribulation also disappeared. Everything slowly returned to normal. Is he dead? Willow Tree and the others looked at where Qin Feiyang was and were all dumbfounded. He didn't die in the hands of the fire dragon, but died under the heavenly tribulation? Going against the heavens. It was easy to say, but in reality, the price was one's life. Why did he have to do this? He had already comprehended the profound meaning of becoming a god, and becoming a god was only a matter of time. Why did he have to be so stupid? Wait. I feel that the slave seal hasn't disappeared. What's going on? Since he's dead, my enslavement mark should disappear as well. Ning Mingi suddenly said. It didn't disappear. Willow Tree was stunned, and quickly looked into his sea of consciousness to sense carefully. After a while, his eyes trembled. The slave seal really did not disappear. If the slave seal did not disappear, did it mean that the young master was actually not dead? But the fire dragon did not know all this. Seeing Qin Feiyang being blown to pieces by the heavenly realm, he was stunned at first, and then laughed. You want to overestimate yourself and open a new path to becoming a god, how ridiculous. After that, he looked at Willow Tree and the others, and said, although Chang Shui is in your hands, I have a guardian and a creator behind me. You can choose to submit or die. Willow Tree looked up at him, and a trace of contempt flashed in his eyes. Then he looked away without saying a word and looked at Qin Feiyang. Young master, I believe that you are not dead. He clenched his hands, and his face was full of confidence and expectation. It seems that you have chosen to die. In that case, I will fulfill your wish. Fire Dragon smiled coldly, and was about to fight Willow Tree and the others. Unyielding and unyielding, never say defeat. Suddenly, an ethereal voice echoed in the void. Young master. Willow Tree and the others were refreshed and scanned the void. Because it was Qin Feiyang's voice. Not dead? How is this possible? Fire Dragon scanned the void, and his millstone-sized fierce eyes were full of disbelief. But everyone only heard Qin Feiyang's voice, but did not see Qin Feiyang. Boom! All of a sudden, an astonishing battle intent surged out, roaring in the void like a torrent. Everyone looked at the place where the battle intent emerged. Immediately, a drop of purple gold dragon blood entered their sight. That drop of purple gold dragon blood was suspended in the yellow sand, condensed and did not melt, like a gem, shining with divine light, extremely dazzling. Ning Mingi said, that can't be the young master, right? Before his voice died away. That drop of purple gold dragon blood suddenly dispersed and turned into a vague figure. Then, the figure quickly solidified. In less than 5 breaths, A living Qin Feiyang appeared in front of everyone's eyes. He closed his eyes, his skin was like a newborn baby, and his whole body was glowing with a dazzling purple-gold divine light. Even the inner demons and the Qinkuan bag were condensed again, floating next to Qin Feiyang. The inner demons looked at Qin Feiyang with a complicated expression. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang did not have the slightest aura on him, as if he was an ordinary person. How can this be? Fire Dragon shook his head frantically, his face full of disbelief. He's not dead. He's really not dead. Willow Tree and the others were excited. Little bastard, the heavenly tribulation can't kill you, let me. The Fire Dragon suddenly let out a roar and swooped down like a bolt of lightning. Its enormous tail was raised high up in the air as it swatted towards Qin Feiyang. Young master, get out of the way. Willow Tree's face changed, and he hurriedly shouted. Swish. At the same time, Qin Feiyang suddenly opened his eyes, and 2 rays of divine light shot out from his eyes. Boom! The next moment, his figure shuddered as a terrifying aura burst out from his body. Following that, his cultivation was revealed before everyone's eyes. False god. Willow Tree and the others were shocked. They did not expect that he would succeed and open a new path to becoming a true god. Fire Dragon's eyes also trembled, and then the murderous intent in his eyes became thicker. A wave of divine power appeared from his giant tail, shattering a large area. It's time for me to fight back. Qin Feiyang murmured, his eyes flashing with murderous intent. He grabbed the air, and the divine phoenix blade, which was floating next to the ancient castle, suddenly flew across the sky and fell into his hand. Then, Qin Feiyang grabbed the divine phoenix blade, and a surge of purple-gold divine power rushed out from his palm. The divine phoenix blade quickly recovered, and he slashed. Clang! Accompanied by a deafening metallic sound, a few dragon scales on the Fire Dragon's giant tail shattered on the spot. And the divine phoenix blade did not even enter its flesh. Ah! Fire Dragon screamed in pain, and rushed to the sky like lightning. The real battle has only just begun. Chapter 1653. One man and one beast flew into the sky one after another. As it continued to recover, the sharpness of the divine phoenix blade became more and more terrifying. Clang! Qin Feiyang's eyes were like lightning. With a wave of his hand, the divine phoenix blade pierced through the air like lightning and slashed fiercely on the Fire Dragon's body. A few dragon scales were shattered again. The divine phoenix blade sank into its flesh and blood flowed out. The Fire Dragon howled in pain. It suddenly turned around and glared at Qin Feiyang. Its eyes were burning with raging flames of fury. Little bastard, do you really think that you can turn the situation around after stepping into the semi-divinity realm? Let me tell you, don't be too naive. Boom! Its aura also skyrocketed. In an instant, it rose to the semi-divinity realm. The divine phoenix blade was directly sent flying by its aura. Bastard, shameless. Willow Tree cursed angrily. There's nothing wrong with it. After all, we agreed from the beginning that its cultivation would be suppressed to the same level as Brother Qin. Now that Brother Qin has broken through to the semi-divinity realm, it should also raise its cultivation to the semi-divinity realm. Li Yun said. Ning Mingi raised his eyebrows and said, in that case, won't the young master lose his advantage? He has no advantage against the Fire Dragon in the first place. Even if he breaks through to the semi-divinity realm now, there is still a huge gap between his divine power and divine body. To put it bluntly, once the Fire Dragon goes crazy, it will immediately destroy everything. Because now, the cedar can no longer provide it with vitality. Li Yun said in a deep voice. Wrong. Yu Huang said. What's wrong? Li Yun was suspicious. Just wait and see. The Fire Dragon will definitely be the one defeated in the end. Yu Huang smiled coldly. Li Yun was stunned. He had so much confidence in Qin Feiyang. Back to the fire dragon. After its cultivation reached the semi-divinity realm, a wave of divine power immediately emerged from its body and rushed toward Qin Feiyang. The divine might emitted by the divine power was several times stronger than before. As its cultivation increased, the power of its divine power would also increase. However, Qin Feiyang's expression remained unchanged. Whoosh! He made a grabbing motion in the air, and the armor below flew up and automatically attached itself to his body. The battle character art was activated once again. Immediately after, he grabbed the divine phoenix blade and stepped into the air to meet the fire dragon's divine power. No matter how many tricks you have, you won't be able to escape today. The fire dragon grinned. Really? Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. He raised his other arm and a golden light burst out. Return formula. He wanted to see how powerful the return formula would be after he broke through to the false god realm. Boom! In an instant, the golden light and the divine power collided. At this moment, even the heavens and earth lost their color. The next moment, under the shocked gaze of the fire dragon, the divine power was actually reflected back. How is this possible? Li Yun's face was also filled with shock. The return formula is a heaven-defying divine art. Previously, it couldn't reflect the fire dragon's divine power because Qin Feiyang's cultivation wasn't high enough. Now, with Qin Feiyang's breakthrough, the power of the return formula naturally manifested. Yu Huang said. A heaven-defying divine art. Li Yun murmured. In the blink of an eye, the divine power turned in the air and pounced towards the fire dragon. The fire dragon was so shocked by this scene that it couldn't react for a long time. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang, the divine power instantly drowned it, and the dragon's scales shattered one after another. Dragon blood splattered and dyed the void red. Little bastard, I swear I won't stop until I destroy your bones and scatter your ashes. The fire dragon roared and teleported. It appeared behind Qin Feiyang in an instant and smashed its huge tail at him. A large part of the void suddenly collapsed. I'm afraid you don't have the ability now. Qin Feiyang sneered, holding the divine phoenix saber and slashing with it. The sharpness of the saber was overwhelming. Boom! The two collided. A few more dragon scales shattered. However, the fire dragon, who had raised his cultivation to the false god realm, was several times stronger than before. Qin Feiyang was also sent flying on the spot. The terrifying force even caused the skin on his arm to split open. An ant will always be an ant. Even if I give you a chance, you won't be able to turn things around. Hualong laughed wildly. He dragged his enormous body and, like a huge mountain, charged towards Qin Feiyang to crush him. Even an ant can defy the heavens. Qin Feiyang stabilized his body and roared. Purple gold dragon chi and flaming battle chi rolled out. The two god statues immediately appeared in the void above. They were both middle-aged men. One of them was holding a broken sword, as if he was the ruler of this world, displaying the domineering aura of a king. The other was holding a long spear, as if an emperor had descended to the world, looking down on the mountains and rivers as if everything was an ant in his eyes. That's right. It was the third move of the divine dragon seal and the third move of the fire phoenix art, the emperor of all spirits. Clang! As soon as the two divine statues appeared, they waved the broken sword and the long spear at the same time and charged towards the fire dragon. Although the two peerless overlords were not real people, it was enough to make people tremble in fear. Roar! Immediately, the fire dragon let out a miserable howl, and a 3 feet long and half a meter deep wound appeared on its giant tail. Blood poured out like a waterfall. However, the two deity arts also shattered with the sound. Qin Feiyang also suffered a considerable backlash, and purple gold dragon blood kept spurting out. However, compared to the fire dragon's injuries, his injuries were nothing. Sigh. Looking at this scene, Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. The difference between a false god and a war god was still very big. Although the fire dragon suppressed its cultivation, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to destroy its divine body. If it was a false god, it would be able to kill it instantly. However, the fire dragon flew into a rage out of humiliation. Boom! A blazing sun rose into the sky, shining with divine light. A dragon's shadow roared in the blazing sun, its divine power surging, shaking the heavens and the earth. Not good, it also used a divine art. The willow tree's expression changed. So what if it's a divine art? Qin Feiyang gathered his thoughts, and his aura was like a rainbow. A wave of fire rolled out, surging into the sky. The sky instantly turned into a sea of fire. The divine power roared, and the sky trembled, crazily colliding with the divine power of the blazing sun. What kind of divine art is this? I've never seen it before. The willow tree was shocked. Yeah, I've never seen it before either. Yu Huang said. Roar. In the blazing sun, the dragon's shadow roared out. Chirp. At the same time, accompanied by a high-pitched phoenix cry, a divine phoenix flapped its huge wings and flew out of the sea of fire. The divine phoenix's body was thousands of feet long. When it spread its wings, it covered the sky, and its divine power was boundless. Divine phoenix? Could this be the fourth style of the fire phoenix technique? The willow tree murmured. Kill. Qin Feiyang and the fire dragon roared at almost the same time, their killing intent soaring into the sky. The dragon's shadow roared in the sky. The divine phoenix's flames were torrential. The two divine beasts suddenly fought in the sky, and the sky was dark. Chirp. More than 10 breaths later. With a wail, the divine phoenix disintegrated. Divine power, false god power. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. He could feel that the fire dragon's divine art was not comparable to the fire phoenix technique at all. But in the end, the fire dragon's divine art had the upper hand. This was the difference between divine power and false god power. The fire phoenix technique was evolved from the false god power. The fire dragon's divine art was evolved from divine power. Although the fire dragon's divine art was not comparable to the fire phoenix technique, because of divine power, it had the upper hand. And, do you believe me now? No matter how many tricks you have, they are useless in front of me. Go to hell for me. The fire dragon laughed. The dragon's shadow suddenly swooped down, roaring towards Qin Feiyang. It's not over yet, what are you in a hurry for? Qin Feiyang snorted from his nose. Before his voice faded. Chirp. Accompanied by a phoenix cry, another divine phoenix rushed out of the sea of fire and pounced towards the dragon's shadow. What's going on? The fire dragon was bewildered. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. This is the ultimate mystery of the fire phoenix technique, rebirth from fire. Rebirth from fire? Doesn't that mean that this divine phoenix will continue to be reborn? Li Yun was bewildered. That should be the case. Willow Tree nodded. Li Yun said in shock, then Brother Qin is now in an invincible position? Li Yun's voice fell into the fire dragon's ears. The fire dragon immediately laughed and said, what invincible position? Once a person dies, no matter how powerful the divine art is, it will disappear. Finished. It opened its mouth wide. A dragon's breath surged out of its mouth like a torrent, drowning the sky and rushing towards Qin Feiyang. This was also one of the divine dragon's trump cards, comparable to a divine art. Wherever the dragon's breath passed, the void shattered, and a terrifying aura rolled in all directions. Then let's see who will die in the end. Qin Feiyang's eyes became colder and colder. The return formula reappeared. The golden light was dazzling, illuminating heaven and earth. Compared to the divine dragon technique and the fire phoenix technique, the 6-word divine art was the real heaven-defying divine art. Boom! In just a moment, the golden light collided with the dragon's breath. With a deafening sound, the two were annihilated at the same time in the void. To be able to fight on par with the dragon's breath, this return formula is indeed heaven-defying. Ning Mingi was secretly speechless. Chirp! High up in the sky, the divine phoenix wailed and dissipated again. But in the next moment, another divine phoenix roared out from the sea of fire. Looking at the fire phoenix that was constantly being reborn, the fire dragon's expression became extremely gloomy. At this moment, Qin Feiyang's voice sounded and said, "I've played with you for so long, it's time to end it." In his words, there was a shocking killing intent. End? The fire dragon was stunned, lowered his head to look at Qin Feiyang, and mocked, "Are you joking? The one who should end the battle is me, not you, understand? Then let's wait and see." Qin Feiyang smiled and put away the divine phoenix blade. Why did he put away the divine phoenix blade? Willow Tree and the others were bewildered. Swish! In the next moment, under their shocked gazes, they saw that Qin Feiyang had appeared one after another beside Qin Feiyang. Finally, standing in the void above, there were as many as 101 Qin Feiyang. Hualong was also shocked by this sudden turn of events. Every Qin Feiyang was exactly the same, and their cultivation had all reached the false god realm. What the hell is this? Clones? The fire dragon raised his eyebrows, his divine power surged, carrying with it an apocalyptic aura, and pounced towards the 101 Qin Feiyang. For moves of the ruins of the end. At the same time, 101 Qin Feiyangs shouted in unison. Boom! Invisible forces emerged, and a terrifying destructive force erupted in an instant, shaking heaven and earth. What's going on? The aura strength of these divine arts is actually the same? Chapter 1654. As pseudo-gods, of course they knew about clones. Clones were usually condensed from god power, pseudo-god power, or battle chi. Therefore, generally speaking, clones, be it strength or methods, were weaker than the original body. But now, Qin Feiyang's clones, be it methods or aura, were exactly the same as Qin Feiyang's original body. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they would even think that these were Qin Feiyang's twin brothers. The fire dragon was also extremely shocked. What kind of heaven-defying divine art was this? Kill! Qin Feiyang and 100 clones raised their arms and pointed at the fire dragon. The invisible force roaring above their heads turned into a huge wave and rolled towards the fire dragon. Good! Let me see how heaven-defying your methods are. The fire dragon roared. It opened its mouth and spat out a dragon breath, pouncing on the invisible force. Boom! Both of them were aggressive, like comets streaking across the sky, and fiercely colliding with each other. This time, it was no longer a stalemate. The invisible force crushed over, and the dragon breath was instantly annihilated. Immediately after, the invisible force pounced on the fire dragon. Roar! The fire dragon's scream suddenly resounded through the sky. The fire dragon, who was drowned by the invisible force, had its dragon scales shattered, its skin and flesh were torn open, and its flesh and blood flew everywhere. Amazing! Li Yun murmured. How is it? I was right, the fire dragon will be defeated sooner or later. Yu Huang said proudly. Li Yun glanced at it, then looked at Qin Feiyang and the fire dragon again, and said, although Brother Qin has turned the situation around, you can't let your guard down. What are you trying to say? Willow Tree and the others looked at him suspiciously. Don't forget the fire dragon's true cultivation. Don't believe the fire dragon's promises so easily. I'm sure that when its life is at stake, it will not hesitate to use its full strength. Li Yun thought to herself. You mean, it doesn't suppress its cultivation? Yu Huang said. Yes. We have to be vigilant, just in case. Wait, I have a plan that might be able to eliminate the fire dragon in one fell swoop. Li Yun said. What? Willow Tree asked. Li Yun muttered a few words to himself. Willow Tree, Ning Mingi. Yo Huang's eyes lit up when he heard this. He nodded and said, let's do that. The next moment, Li Yun disappeared with Willow Tree and the others. Qin Feiyang also noticed their disappearance, but he didn't pay attention to it. Because he didn't need to think to know that he must have gone to the spatial divine item. His gaze was definitely locked onto the fire dragon. At this moment, the fire dragon's entire body was a mess of flesh and blood. Its dragon scales were also in pieces. A trace of weakness finally crept up in its huge pupils. But it was more anger. It stared at Qin Feiyang, its eyes like a blade, and said word by word, little bastard, you have to pay the price for your stupid actions. Divine power surged, and 9 fire dragons appeared out of nowhere. Each fire dragon was more than 10,000 feet long, like majestic mountain ridges, hovering above its head, and the dragon's power shook the sky. 9 dragons killing array. As it roared, the 9 fire dragons connected head to tail, forming a pentagram pattern. Boom! In an instant, a destructive aura burst out from his body. What kind of divine art is this? What a terrifying aura! In the spatial divine item, Willow Tree and the others trembled physically and mentally, and a feeling that came from the depths of their souls emerged uncontrollably. And behind them, there were more than 100 people. They were the fake gods of the Vanga League and the Vanga League. The leader of the 7 evils, Chui Li, was also there. Looking at the pentagram, their faces were filled with horror. Little bastard, wake up! The fire dragon roared. The pentagram formed by the 9 fire dragons suddenly fell, and the void within 10,000 miles was instantly shattered, turning into nothingness. The one who should wake up is you. The Emperor of 9 and 5. The Emperor of all spirits. 101 Qin Feiyang roared. Rumble, in the sky. A gale suddenly rose, and purple gold clouds surged from the horizon. Following a series of deafening claps of thunder, 202 statues appeared in the sky. That divine power roared in all directions. The sky, the void, and the desert all trembled violently. If God blocks, kill God. If devil blocks, kill devil. Kill. Qin Feiyang roared into the sky. The 202 statues raised their broken swords and spears at the same time, and attacked the pentagram. Rumble. A heaven-shaking, earth-shattering sound suddenly exploded in this place. Lu Mu and the others were spurting blood from their ears. Crack. The pentagram shattered on the spot. The fire dragon spat out a mouthful of dragon blood. Its body trembled, and its eyes were filled with disbelief. The 9 dragons killing formation was its strongest move, but it couldn't stop Qin Feiyang. Just as it was distracted, the 202 statues arrived in front of it, and the sharpness of the spears and broken swords tore through the sky. The fire dragon quivered and hurriedly performed teleportation, fleeing through the air. Roar. But if it didn't escape unscathed. Accompanied by a heart-wrenching cry, a dragon tail more than 10 meters long fell from the sky. Willow Tree, Yu Huang, when the battle is over, I'll treat you to dragon meat. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang laughed out loud, and instantly rushed to the front of the dragon tail, and slapped it with his palm. The dragon tail immediately flew towards the place where Willow Tree and the others disappeared. Dragon meat. Inside the spatial divine object. Their eyes lit up. Willow Tree urged, Li Yun, hurry. Li Yun immediately left the spatial divine object, grabbed the giant tail, and returned to the spatial divine object. At the same time, the fire dragon appeared in the sky a few miles away. Blood flowed out of the wound. Looking at the dragon tail that was taken away by Li Yun, its entire body was trembling. But it wasn't fear. It was anger. Shua. All of a sudden. It looked at Qin Feiyang, its eyes flashing with strong killing intent. Following closely. It actually raised its head and laughed wildly. Is it crazy? Inside the spatial divine object. Willow Tree and the others looked at each other. Laugh all you want. Because this might be the last time you'll laugh in your life. Qin Feiyang stood against the wind and waved his hand fiercely. 100 incarnations also waved their hands at the same time. The 202 god statues wielded broken swords and long spears. Like a powerful army of war gods, they charged toward the fire dragon with vigor. The last time you laugh? Kid, you're too naive, too laughable, too childish, too ignorant, too stupid. Now, I'll send you to hell to reunite with Qin Badian. Boom. A monstrous divine might rushed out from the fire dragon's body. Its cultivation instantly broke through the bottleneck of the false god and stepped into the war god realm. Don't forget our promise. Qin Feiyang was shocked and said angrily. What bullshit promise? Do you think I care? Fire dragon laughed loudly, divine power covering the sky and earth, sweeping through the sky. Crack. Boom. The 202 god statues shattered one after another. At the same time. Above. The dragon figure's aura also surged and instantly tore the divine phoenix apart. Then. It rushed into the sea of fire. The entire sea of fire was instantly annihilated and turned into nothingness. Puff. Qin Feiyang spat out blood from his mouth, his body kept retreating, and his face was pale. As expected of a beast, you don't even have the slightest bit of integrity. He roared angrily and retreated like lightning. Clang. But at the same time as he retreated, the void in front of him suddenly exploded with a heaven-shaking bang. Then. A sharp aura that could tear the sky and earth apart appeared. Willow Tree and the others appeared with Chang Shui. Shui Li and more than 100 false gods of the Vanga League and the Fengtian Palace also appeared with them. And Chang Shui was currently in a state of awakening. I see. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. It turned out that Willow Tree and the others entered the spatial divine item to secretly awaken Chang Shui. You went back on your words, damn it. Willow Tree roared. Clang. Blue snow immediately flew out of his hand, turning into a streak of light that slashed towards Huolong's divine power. Boom. The divine power disintegrated like dead wood. Chang Shui went straight for the fire dragon. Everything happened too quickly and too suddenly. The fire dragon had no time to react at all, his eyes filled with fear. Just as the fire dragon was about to die at the hands of Chang Shui, a rule power suddenly descended from the sky and blasted toward Chang Shui. Clang. Chang Shui was immediately sent flying. The fire dragon also came back to its senses and immediately used teleportation to fly up into the sky. Damn guardian. Willow Tree roared and controlled Chang Shui to fly into the sky. Like an arrow, it pierced through the fire dragon's abdomen. Roar. The fire dragon let out a miserable howl as his sea of chi shattered on the spot. Just as the fire dragon fell in despair, the rule power appeared again and swept up the fire dragon and disappeared without a trace. Willow Tree glared at the sky and roared, "Bastard, come out and fight if you have the guts. What's the point of hiding in the dark? That's right. You're a guardian after all. Don't you find it embarrassing?" Ning Mingi and the others also cursed angrily. Qin Feiyang also had an angry look on his face. You guys are really arrogant. Suddenly, a mocking voice spread in the sky. Whoosh. Then, a golden stream of light descended like lightning and appeared in the void in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. It was the golden small beast. There was no aura on it at all. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at the small beast and didn't feel the slightest sense of danger. Whoosh. Two more streams of light descended from the sky. It was the guardian python and the fire dragon. The two beasts landed behind the golden small beast and glanced at Qin Feiyang and the others with eyes full of ridicule. Did you guys notice that they are very respectful to this small beast? Willow Tree was surprised. Yes. Everyone secretly responded. Qin Feiyang glanced at the giant python and the fire dragon, then looked at the golden small beast and said, "Are you the creator of the miracle?" Creator? The small beast was stunned and said playfully, "Do you think I am? Don't talk nonsense with it. Just attack." Willow Tree shouted and controlled Chang Shui to attack the small beast. Seeing this scene, the giant python and the fire dragon's eyes were even more mocking. "Young man, don't be too impulsive." The small beast smiled faintly. It didn't seem to make any movements, but an invisible force emerged out of thin air. The next moment, Chang Shui stopped in the void, motionless. How is this possible? Willow Tree and the others were shocked. Qin Feiyang was also dumbfounded. He looked at the small beast in shock and said with difficulty, "The power of law, time stop." Not bad, you have a good eye. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.